All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? We are back. Hour one of John and
Where do we
Jim.
go?
You just don't know. In this industry, in this business, you just don't know.
That is true.
In fact, I want to say it was last Thursday on Juneteenth. And by the way, we got a good show lined up. We'll talk about SDFC in first place in the West. We'll talk about Padres a month out from the deadline, getting ready for this road trip to Cincinnati. Mark Ziegler joins the show to talk about the Pac-12 at 4:30. But it was on Juneteenth when we had a company holiday because iHeart has Juneteenth as a company holiday. And we got some texts and we got some tweets and we got some people on social media saying, is everything all right? And we're like, what do you mean is everything all right? I mean, we're sitting at home like watching television. They're like, you're not on the air.
We never know.
That's the thing. So
if you're off on a day that you don't realize is a holiday or just for whatever reason.
It is interesting. It's like you take one day off in this business. If there's a day, and I think there's a day coming up in the future in July where we're both off.
There is. On July 11th. We're both off.
And by the way, Mary has me off on that Monday, which I'm happy to take off, but I'm not leaving until Tuesday.
Okay.
That week. That's a whole nother conversation. But okay, so we're both off that Friday.
Oh, so you're going to join me on Monday?
Yeah, I'll join you on Monday because Kristen's working Monday. And I'd rather have the vacation day when I'm actually using it for vacation than just have a Monday vacation day and be in San Diego, I think. So that shortens your week. I mean, it makes it easier for you.
It makes it easier for everybody involved.
Yeah, because then we'll be together Monday. You'll do solo shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then you're off Friday, and it's the best. We're both off. Why are we always both off? They could just air whatever else.
Well, don't say that because they might actually.
That's the issue.
Then we're gone.
But that Friday, I guarantee people are going to say, "What happened to John and Jim?"
Yeah, probably.
Right? Like it finally happened.
Yep.
After all those years, after 3.5 years,
Jim
it finally
happened. Said something and they just pulled the plug like that.
Happened. All right. So Padres win yesterday. We talked about it at length. We heard from Mike Schilt. We heard from Manny Machado post-game yesterday coming up. And we've reached the halfway point. I mean, not technically. I think technically it's after tomorrow's game, 81 games.
Tomorrow's the 81st game of the season.
So they're 80 games in, but today's an off day. So we really should talk about where the Padres are at the halfway point. I think Kevin's writing about it and he'll join us again tomorrow. And if you missed Kevin actually yesterday, we'll share some of that conversation with you coming up at 3 p.m. I feel as if the way we've talked about them, Jim, the way we talk about the Padres, I feel as if we're talking about them like they're a C grade. We've been critical. We talk about the needs for upgrades, some of the injuries they're dealing with, the way they've played, the state of their lineup, for example. But they're 8 games over 500, which is pretty good. They're in roughly playoff position. I didn't look last night. They were a half game out in the afternoon. So they're, tied for the last playoff spot or maybe a half game out, right? Take a look at that real quick. We should know that heading into the show.
They are right now, John. It looks like they are a half game out. Yeah, they are a half game out.
Okay. So what I was going to say is I feel like we talk about them like I would give them a C grade, but in actuality, when you look at it in totality, maybe it's like a B, maybe B minus because they are a half game out, but there's so many games to play. I feel like they kind of deserve a B, but they're playing like a C. What do you think?
Well, actually, looking at this again,
they're 4 games up.
No, they're actually in the postseason right now.
If the season
ended today, but it'd be a mess because the Mets and Philadelphia Phillies, they are tied in the National League East. So one of them is a wild card team. Then Milwaukee's in the wild card picture, and then San Diego and the Giants right now are tied, but the Giants are losing right now to the Marlins on the verge of getting swept. Actually, just kidding, they're tied with the Marlins, but still, they could get swept in that series.
So the point is they're tied for the last wild card spot or a half game up or half game out.
I think. I think so.
Well, that's the thing. So they're 44 and 36. So is that what grade is that just from a team perspective halfway through the year?
If I were to give them a grade right now, I'd give them a solid B.
Solid B.
A solid, firm B. Not a B minus, not a B plus on the verge of an A.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give them a solid B, like an 85 out of 100.
Yeah, it's a solid B.
Solid B. I think where they're at right now compared to where they were at last year, much better. I think the trend lines, though, for this team, they're not great. Like the offense still is a problem. They still got pitching issues. They need another bat, preferably a right-handed bat, left fielder. But Manny Machado's playing better at this time this year than he was last year. Fernando Tatis Jr. is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a better record overall than they did last year as well. They're 8 games over 500. This time last year, they were only 2.
I used an analogy with you like a week or two ago and you didn't understand it. I'll use it again because I don't know if you guys had this in school or not. It's not even an analogy.
What do we got?
When I was in school, at least in high school, I would get quarter grades. Did you guys get grades by the quarter?
Yes.
And if I went B, A, B, A in the quarters, first quarter B, second quarter A, third quarter B, fourth quarter A. You writing this down?
No.
That would be an A. B followed by an A, B followed by an A, kind of like a trend line A. You finished up. But if you went A, B in geometry, they'd give you a B on your final report card because you went A, then B.
Huh?
My point is, I feel like the Padres they've gone like B, B, C, C in the half. They started with a B, and then the trend lines were like,
Well, they started with an A. Like,
true.
They started with an A+.
I did that. Well, obviously. Well, then they've kind of gone like A, B, C, which averages to a B. I was trying to make the analogy that we always talk about trend lines. If you're playing well late, it feels like you're better than you are. And if you're playing poorly late, it feels like you're worse than you are. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. 44-36 is 44-36.
Like if they won 12 of their last 13 to get to 8 games over 500.
We'd probably be like A-. They've played so well. This is going to be a playoff team.
Yep.
They're awesome right now. They just beat the Dodgers. They just swept the Dodgers.
Yep. But if they lost 12 of their last 13
you
and
give
still
them
are
a D.
8. Yeah.
Or a C-.
Yeah. So it's all about, you're right. It's all about trends.
That's my point.
And look, I don't think the trends of the last couple of weeks are awful.
Bad.
13-13 in the 26 games and 27-day stretch. I think overall, I would say that's pretty good.
Right.
It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the best in the world. It is as average as you get, but you didn't lose any ground as far as your record goes. You started the stretch 8 games over. You ended the stretch 8 games over. It'd be one thing if you started the stretch 8 games over and you ended it 3 games over or 2 games over.
Yeah.
But they just maintained their 8 games above 500 record for the last 26 games
against good teams.
Some good teams, but it's the no off days, which is the really difficult part. The amount of times they've had to use their bullpen nonstop, and the injuries to your pitching staff. And Fernando Tatis Jr. didn't hit a home run until game 23 of that 26 game stretch.
Yeah, he only hit 2.
Yeah,
one of them was
last week
loss.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. I'm firm because I was going to say C, but your argument, I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a B. I think it's a firm B. I think listen to it this way. You multiply this out, which we always do in baseball, and they still have 1 game remaining in the half. Mm-hmm. So let's split the difference. 44 times 2 is 88. Yeah. Give them 1 more win over the other 2 games. That's 89 wins.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to give them a B if 89 games is a game out of the postseason?
No, that's
because with the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Giants and Cardinals and Reds, these teams that we've talked about,
right.
It's like they're on this
it's like a pass or fail. You either pass or you fail.
Yeah, it's a pass. Exactly right. And I don't know what it's going to take. Nobody does. I don't know if the National League will be great in the second half or poor in the second half. But it seems like it's going to take 89 or more games to get into the postseason.
Yeah, I would say so.
So we agree. Passing grade now, firmly passing, like a firm B right now. But it's tenuous because you go to Cincinnati, lose 2 out of 3, and you fall a game or 2 out in the playoff spot. It's like pass or fail.
Yeah,
you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, while it feels like, by what we're saying, they're in a really good spot, which they are. In school, you could have one test where you absolutely bomb it, and your overall grade, like you said, goes from like a B down to like a D.
Oh, you can, that can happen.
If you don't pass, if you
Final.
don't do a well in a final, or a mid-season,
the whole semester,
semester grades, they go down. So you can't have a stretch where you completely bomb, because then it could affect the rest of your season. And thankfully, they didn't bomb the 26 games and 27-day stretch. They just passed it, they were just average, and you didn't lose any ground as far as your record goes. But they still have a really good opportunity to make their, mid-season report card better than it is right now with the stretch they have coming up. 6 on the road. They just go 3-3 on the road. I would take that in a second. And then you go 6-4 in your 10-game homestand before the All-Star break.
And you're 10 games over 500.
That to me, I would say you're bordering, if you're giving out grades here, like where you are right now. That's almost an A grade for me for the first half, as far as your record goes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just record alone.
All right, what grade would you give the Padres at the halfway point? We'd love to hear from you. 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. Or text us 70470. Start your message with the word team. We're going to hear from Manny Machado. This was post-game yesterday inside the Padres clubhouse. You'll hear from Manny on the Padres at the halfway point. And how about last night for SDFC in Vancouver in the West, taking over sole possession of first place in the Western Conference? An amazing story playing out in Major League Soccer, but really just in professional sports in America right here in our backyard. So we'll get into that later this hour as well. If you missed Kevin Acee yesterday, you'll hear that conversation at 3. Mark Ziegler on the Aztecs in the Pac-12 at 4:30. We're just getting started. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, the all-new iHeartRadio app. Make sure to download it and put us in your presets. San Diego Sports 760. You can listen to John and Jim live weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. And if you put John and Jim in your presets, you can listen back to any hour or interview. If you missed Kevin Acee yesterday, you'll hear that conversation at 3 p.m. Mark Ziegler will join us live at 4:30 with more on the Aztecs and the Pac-12. How do you think Manny thinks the Padres are doing at the halfway point?
Probably really, really good, John.
Does Mike Schill hand out grades for the 26 active players?
I bet he hands out like gold stars, in school when like you get
kindergarten.
You got like a gold star because we're doing something well.
Yeah,
you're like, ooh, I got a gold star today.
You know who got a gold star yesterday? Tyler Wade
and Luis Ariz.
But Tyler Wade scoring the only run in the game. He probably got the biggest star.
So did Nick Pivetta.
Yeah, but it's Tyler Wade.
But still,
his teacher's pet.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
He probably hoards all the gold stars. He's like, can I get a gold star today, Mike, for just being your favorite?
Seriously.
He probably has like literal pat on the backs that he gives out with like a little paper hand.
All right. So Manny Machado spoke about the team's play yesterday after the game. This starts with him being asked about making the next round of voting for the All-Star game. Take a listen.
I mean, just, being recognized by the fans. I mean, that's an amazing compliment, and for them to go out there and spend their time voting for us and recognizing what we're doing on the field is special. So, anytime you're selected for that, it's always special.
Today, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. How fun was that?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. It was awesome watching him pitch. I mean, I just love watching him pitch. With the energy he brings every single time, whether he's doing well or not. He's giving us an opportunity to go out there, and obviously today was a tremendous job. Us giving him one run lead and him taking it into the 7 and handing it off to two of our best arms in the bullpen. So it was fun to watch.
You finished 26 games in 27 days, 13-13.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm ready for the half day tomorrow.
For those of us who don't know, how would you describe the physical toll of a stretch like this?
I don't know. I mean, it's just exhausting. It's a lot. It's tough. Not only what you do, but the competition we played. We played some really good teams, and it was mentally draining as much as it was physically.
I feel like the team navigated though pretty well, especially.
I think we did a good job. I mean, as best as we could. Could we have done better? For sure, we would have loved to. But let's just enjoy this victory, this last two serious wins at home, leading to this off day, and hopefully start playing some better baseball.
You guys are at the halfway point of the season, a game short of that. How do you think that you guys have done so far?
I think we've done a pretty good job. With the injuries we've had, guys coming up, stepping up, staying in flow. It's been a pretty decent first half. So just continue playing baseball like that, keep growing from it. Hopefully we got some guys coming back here pretty soon. But until then, it's just keep playing the baseball we have.
I feel like every month we're going to talk about a new milestone. What does it mean to you, all the work that you put in, to be just short of 2,000 hits?
I mean, it's fun. It's fun, just hearing those numbers. I mean, they're racking up, so it's pretty amazing. It's pretty hard to get one hit in the big leagues, and let alone reaching some pretty historical numbers. So it's pretty exciting.
Do you think he hits 2,000 at home or on the road? He's 9 hits away. They're going on a 6-game road trip.
I would hope it's on the road.
Because that means he played well on the road?
Yeah.
As opposed to you hoping being at home because I get it.
And wherever you get it, you get it.
Yeah, 2,000 isn't 3,000. And I don't know if you know where Tony got his 3,000.
I was about to say,
video of it?
I think I've seen a video of it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Is
there video?
There might. That's
I
a good
think
question.
there is video.
Is it Montreal?
I think that's right. That's not even in the U.S. though. Is that possible? There's not even a team there.
Is that allowed?
There's not even a team.
Right. The Expos don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, he has 3,000 hits. If you watch Padres.tv, you've seen the moment.
And you've also seen Jeremiah Estrada strike out 13 batters 7,000 times.
You've also noticed the triple play to clinch a playoff spot.
And you've also seen the hype video that they made 30,000 times.
You've also seen the MLB network like, Cleveland Guardians are legit.
Yeah.
They're bullpen. Anyway, he's 9 hits shy of 2,000. He's hit 355 career. The Manny numbers are crazy.
He'll be a 7-time All-Star once he makes the All-Star team.
7-time All-Star. The Manny numbers are really piling up. He's put together a very nice year. Now, he was 0 for yesterday. He's actually under 300. He was consistently over 300 for the last month. He's fallen to 298, but his 852 OPS is well above his career average. He's put together, a very good first half in a Padres uniform.
And as you heard him say there, like he's exhausted. I'm sure the team's mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
Baseball's probably the most mentally taxing sport in all of major sports in the country because it's every day and you fail all the time.
Even the off days, they go to Cincinnati. His off day is not with his family in San Diego.
No.
He's in Cincinnati, Ohio today. They travel to get there.
Probably, I mean, I don't know what Manny does on his off days.
I don't think a lot.
But if it were me, man, that bed in the hotel, I'd be
so
there all
with his
day.
Body, man. There's no way he's a guy at 32 that's a guy like, oh, let's go jet ski. I don't think Manny's off day in Ohio. Right. Now, some of these guys
some of
take advantage of the off days.
Yeah.
Some of them are younger. Some of them are able to do it or want. And maybe Manny does to some extent, but he's been able to stay on field by and large in his career. There's a reason because he knows how to treat his body. That's how you get to 3,000 hits. I mean, you got to be on the field.
And you just hear him talk about the first half. You put yourself in position to be in position. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You put yourself in position to make a run, to hopefully get hot. I mean, right now you're looking at if they just stay the course, stay between 8 to 10 games above 500 for the rest of the year, all it really takes then is like 1 or 2 like hot weeks. And then you're golden.
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking for like, hey, we need to have a great month.
You go 6-1 over a 7-game stretch, you really improve your stock right there.
That alone could do it.
It could be the difference. By the way, interesting kind of breaking MLB news that isn't overly relevant to our audience. But remember Wander Franco, he's been gone because of sexual abuse allegations. He's been convicted of sexual abuse in the Dominican for a 2-year sentence that's actually been suspended. He's not going to serve jail time, but he was convicted of being guilty for sexual abuse in the Dominican. Jeff Passan reporting that at this hour. This guy at one point was one of the top 10 prospects in baseball. He was putting together a very good career in his first 3 years. He has not been in the big leagues now for the last 2 or 3 years dealing with this. And then Jeff went on to say that even though he's not going to serve a prison sentence, it's unlikely he could return to Major League Baseball. There's no chance. I mean, there's no chance Wander Franco is coming back to Major League Baseball. I just found this story interesting. I'd kind of forgotten about this.
Yeah.
Wander Franco, again, convicted convicted of sexual abuse.
And then Jeff Passan just tweeting moments ago, the mother of the victim in the Wander Franco case was found guilty of sexually trafficking her daughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
While Wander Franco had his prison sentence suspended. So the mother of the whole thing, the mother of the victim's getting 10 years, but Wander Franco's not even going to jail. So I don't know the particulars of the case. I just know it's a bizarre one, and I don't think we're ever going to see Wander Franco again.
She was 14 years old when he was 21.
Yeah. And you're not going to see him again in the major leagues because of that.
No.
All right. On the other side, the SDFC story continues to get better. They win at Vancouver. We'll talk about that 4-goal match for someone that was on the show with us actually just a couple of weeks ago. Plus, we'll get into the NBA draft. And Kevin Acee, if you missed it yesterday, you'll hear from Kevin Acee coming up at 3 p.m. This is John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today. They start a 6-game road trip through Cincinnati and Philadelphia starting tomorrow night. Cooper Flagg went number 1 overall last night in the NBA draft. Round 2 gets underway later tonight at 5 p.m. San Diego FC beat Vancouver last night on the road 5-3. Our boy Milan Olowski, the pride of Escondido, scored 4 goals in the win. SDFC now sits atop the Western Conference. Next up, they'll take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. That game can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
All right, Kevin Acey, if you missed him yesterday, you'll hear it at 3 p.m. Mark Ziegler at 4:30. Have you ever heard of the website MLSsoccer.com? It's the MLS website.
Have you ever heard of
like NBA.com?
Yeah.
Okay, so like this isn't like some offshoot, like some guy and his buddies put together like predictions at the MLS site.
Okay.
Like the NBA site or the MLB site or the NFL site. The day before the season started, they have predicted order of finish in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
MLSsoccer.com.
Right. The official site.
Listen to this. The number 1's the best, right? LAFC.
Well, usually it goes like
one's the best and the lowest number's the worst.
Right.
Anyway, LAFC, they'd won the cup. They were number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about that for a second. 14th. There's 15 teams in the West. You're thinking, well, 14th is San Diego, right? 14th is Vancouver. Vancouver was in first place in the West until last night, and 15th in the Western Conference. Your San Diego FC. 15th in a 15-team conference. It just goes to prove how hard it is to predict sports. Plus, they were an expansion side, but I think it also proves this point, Jim, and we can get into last night, that what SDFC is doing this year is truly remarkable, improbable, impressive, special, and unique. And it's playing out right here in San Diego. They're in first place. That doesn't mean they're going to finish the year in first place, but maybe they have a shot to win the MLS Cup here in 2025. But from pick to finish last for the expansion side to first place at the end of June, that alone is like a Disney movie. I don't know if it would be Disney, maybe a Marvel movie.
They are really, really good. Really, really good. And the story of Milan Olowski is incredible. You know,
like the story of this team.
Yeah, it's scores 4 goals last night.
That's a lot of goals.
He had a hat trick in the first half.
That's ridiculous, right?
He scored 2 goals within a matter of 2 minutes. It was like a goal, like back to back.
Goal.
Like, well, what? And I thought this was the most amazing stat that I found, by the way, when I'm looking at MLS stats overall. So right now, Milan, he leads the team in goals.
With, you said 9?
With 9.
What's the MLS leader in goals?
The MLS leader is 15.
Okay. So he has 9, which is a huge number.
Huge number. And
especially when you give us the numbers you're about to give us.
Anders Dreyer, who is an all-star, MLS all-star this year, he has 8. He has 8 goals in 1,600 minutes played. All right. He has started all 19 matches that he's been available. Okay. And he scored 8 goals in 1,674 minutes.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. Milan has scored 9 goals, John, in 292 minutes.
So he's scoring a goal every 30 minutes, which, by the way, over 90 minutes is 3.
Now, obviously, the 4 goals last night make it look even crazier.
They don't count.
But before last night, he had 5 goals in
like no minutes,
like 230, 40 minutes.
He is not an all-star. Is that correct?
He is not an all-star.
But he has 9 goals in 200 something minutes.
Yeah, he's right now tied for 1, 2, 3, 4. He's tied for 5th in MLS in goals scored.
But this is kind of like if you said, okay, this would be like if you said Tatis had 15 home runs and he did it in 80 games. And then you said, well, look at Merrill. He's got 15 home runs. He's done it in 40 games. Like that's a huge part of the story is that he's done it in such limited opportunities. He's come off the bench for this team. He's had limited minutes overall for this team. And he's become one of the best players in Major League Soccer.
I wouldn't say the best
scorers.
I think one of the better stories in Major League Soccer. Absolutely. because he uprooted his life, got the call from SDFC, knowing it's his hometown, decides to take a chance. It's not guaranteed. Comes to San Diego, is a part of an MLS expansion team. The reason why he came is because, and we've had him on the show before, by the way. So it's all because of us, John and Jim. This whole, story
wouldn't have happened otherwise.
It would not have happened without John and Jim. But, nothing was guaranteed for him here at all. It wasn't like, hey, here's a guaranteed spot, guaranteed contract, 3-year deal. You're on the team. And by the way, you're going to be starting every match. No, he actually, last night, John, was his first start of the season because it wasn't by necessity. They had to start him. They're missing some guys. Chucky Lozano, he was out last night.
So what does this though mean? I mean, if you score 9 goals in half an MLS season and you do it in 300 minutes, doesn't that get you a guaranteed deal in Major League Soccer? Like what would you have to do if you were in his shoes? Like what else could he do?
I don't think I'm qualified to answer that.
I'll have to ask Darren honestly the next time, and we have Hector actually who's holding on the line. Maybe he can answer that, but I would assume that what this means for Milan is that he's going to be, he's got to put himself in a pretty good situation. 9 goals and 4 yesterday is truly incredible. Here's the other point I wanted to make before we go to the phones. I saw it yesterday on social media from Divine Sports Gospel, and I think people have been thinking about this over the last few weeks, watching how well SDFC has played. There are generations of San Diegans that have watched the Padres not win a World Series. There were generations of San Diegans not watch the Chargers win a Super Bowl. And here is San Diego FC in Major League Soccer with 30 clubs. Now, there's no assurance that they're even going to play in an MLS Cup or make a deep postseason run, but they certainly should be in the postseason. And what if in year 1 they make it to an MLS Cup or win one? That would be truly remarkable. I know there's work to be done, but their story is an incredible one right now. Truly incredible.
Think about this. They have the second most points
in the league,
in the entire league, not the Western Conference or the
most
Eastern Conference. They're the most in the West, but I'm talking about the entire league. They have the second most points, tied for the second most points along with Cincinnati.
Who's got the most?
Philadelphia. They got 40. So, they didn't just hit the ground running. They hit the ground like Sonic the Hedgehog, super speed, hypersonic speed. It has gone from 0 to 100 faster than you could possibly imagine.
What's Sonic's friend's name? Tails.
No, Sonic's is faster than Tails.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, faster than Tails, and Tails ain't slow. All right, let's go to the phones. 877-767-4760. Hector wants to weigh in. Hector, you're on with John and Jim.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Just to add on what you guys were saying, Leicester City, when they won the English League Championship, they were like 5,000 to 1. When the season started, San Diego was 8,000 to 1 to win the championship. Just to add on what you were saying. But to the point of Milowski coming back, they'd be crazy not to bring him full time here. This was his first starting game, and I missed 3. I went to the bathroom for 5 minutes. I missed 3 goals. Dude. That's how the guy was playing. But dude, I think totally they got to re-sign this guy. He was awesome with Orange County SC. He gave San Diego loyal headaches, and it's so hard for a player from USL Championship to be so good in the MLS right off the bat. So I think they got a good chance of winning this, guys.
Man, that's good.
Thanks,
perspective
Hector.
from Hector.
Call, man.
That is, again, you get up and you miss something. You would have missed potentially. They scored 5 goals yesterday, and they scored 4 of them in the first half, right?
They scored 4.
Was it 3-1 at the half?
No, it was 3-1 in the half. So,
but they won 5-3 yesterday.
They won 5-3
on the road.
Yeah. So Ilowski in the first half. Sorry, he did score 4 goals in the first. Wait, no,
because it was only 3-1.
You're right. He scored a goal in the 35th minute, the 37th minute, the 44th minute.
So he had 3.
Yeah.
He had all 3.
And then the 47th minute to start the second half. I remember start the second half. It was like, all right, they keep the foot on the gas pedal, and then boom, right away, goal.
Wait,
You're
so
like,
say
what?
the minute. His first goal was in what minute, and his last goal was in what minute?
The 35th minute, and his last goal was in the 47th minute.
4 goals in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
How often has that ever been done in the history of Major League Soccer? I think they had it last night. The answer is not very often. Like a few times in the history of Major League Soccer has someone scored 4 goals in 12 minutes in the history of the league.
I like the headline here on ESPN saying that Milan Iloski scored a team record.
Yeah, I would hope so. That means they've only played 19 matches.
A team record 4 goals in his first MLS start. Team record, and they're setting records every single day.
So give this guy a statue contract based on last night.
Well,
and get him to the All-Star game.
Hector's absolutely right. How could you not bring this kid back?
Yeah, so yeah.
It not only he has proven he's a proven goal scorer, obviously, but you know, the thing about SDFC is embracing the community, right? Soccer is a huge community-based event and sport. And he's from San Diego, Escondido. I mean, really good soccer player. Like,
dude, he can be from Timbuktu.
That's
true. If he's
true.
scoring 9 goals every 290 minutes, I'm giving him the Tatis deal.
Like Lionel Messi scored 10 goals this year in 1,100 minutes in 13 matches.
And Iloski scored
9
in 290 minutes.
In 292 minutes.
In 30% of the minutes, he has scored essentially the same number of
I just
goals.
love looking at this page because it shows the top goal scorers in MLS and then the minutes they've played. It's like, 1,400 minutes, 1,600 minutes, 1,200 minutes, 200. And then 200 minutes, and they all have the same amount of goals.
Amazing. It's an amazing story, and it's playing out right here in San Diego. All right, we're going to switch gears to the NBA draft on the other side. Was it underwhelming last night or not? We can dive into that. Plus Kevin Acee at 3 p.m., Mark Ziegler at 4:30. We're here until 6. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We'll hear from Kevin Acee coming up at 3 p.m. Mark Ziegler at 4:30. I do want to get into the NBA draft, but I'm going to ask you a question. Maybe you've seen the story, maybe you haven't. Don't look at my computer. Not that you are.
Okay.
Because I want to make a point here for a second, and I'm trying to make the point myself. All right. You saw Caitlin Clark is out tonight?
I did.
Second time she's been out.
Just hamstring.
Is that what it was?
Or groin?
I think it's groin.
Okay.
So she's out. Have you seen what she's been doing in the WNBA?
Like stats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what has she been doing?
She's been amazing at home, and she's been kind of very bad on the road.
Okay, it's interesting. You're right. Their last 3 games have been on the road. So in her last 3 games, she is 1 for 23 from 3.
Now, those are on the road, correct?
All of them are on the road. They're all in succession. She's 1 for 23 for the season. She's shooting 25% from 3.
And at home, I think she's like 22 for like 40 or something at home.
Yes, she's right. So she has really struggled on the road. It's interesting you realize that. But she's shooting 29% from 3 for the year. From the floor, she's shooting 39%. Now she's missed multiple games due to injury. She's 1 for her last 23 from 3. And again, they're giving her the night off tonight to deal with this groin injury.
Do you think all the basketball that she's played the last couple of years are catching up to her?
I don't know. Or is it health? And I was going to say, does it have any? I would say Clark playing but not being impactful is way better for the league than her not playing. As in, they just need her out there. The ratings dictate that, right? If she played tonight and went 0 for 7 from 3, then the numbers would be better than if she didn't play.
Yeah, but she also has to be good.
She's going to have to be better than that. I can't believe she's 1 for her last 23 from 3.
I think she'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think the injuries are affecting her.
Yeah.
Also, she is literally carrying a league on her back.
Oh yeah, she is, and she's also been dealing with crazy physicality. We've talked about that a little bit.
Yep. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA, I'm sorry, it's just
nowhere near
not really relevant.
And that's why I'm saying what's interesting is she can go 1 for 23 from 3 over 3 games, but people watch. If she's out, you're not getting near the level of interest than her playing, even if she isn't performing.
And there are some amazing women basketball players for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what she does is she drives the eyeballs to the product and helps promote all the amazing women basketball players in the league that aren't driving eyeballs to their product.
Yeah.
And so that's why, and Colin has a great point on this. It's like, why would you as a league not use Caitlin Clark from day one and elevate her and make sure that, you are as a league know that she's the golden goose, and to treat her the way that I don't say she was treated poorly last year, but all these WNBA experts and players just like looked down on Caitlin Clark, like, who's she? Like, she's the one that is making her league relevant.
So you disagree with Joy Taylor's take? We're not getting into this. That she credits Angel Reese's viral moment in the LSU championship run for Caitlin Clark's stardom. You would disagree with Joy Taylor's take?
I think Joy Taylor needs to worry about other things in her life than talking about Caitlin Clark.
Okay, let's touch on the NBA draft, not the WNBA draft. Cooper Flagg, we were on the air. He goes number 1 as expected. Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son, goes number 2 to the Spurs as expected. We watched this whole thing play out. I turned it on when I got home. I saw someone that played in the Mountain West last year, a very good player that's played San Diego State a number of times, Nick Clifford, go to the Kings, even though he was wearing an Oklahoma City Thunder hat. You heard the Scott Van Pelt rant about, like, why can't we get the hats right? I completely agree with that, by the way. It's a lifetime moment, and all the hats are wrong because everyone's traded.
Yeah.
What did you think of round 1 of the NBA draft? Did it live up to the hype?
Well, I really enjoyed the Blazers picking Colin Cowherd.
That was funny.
That was one of my favorite picks of the night.
Did you miss that, Brent?
So Malika Andrews misspoke. I think it was Cedric Cowherd.
Cedric Cowherd. He played at Washington State.
Yeah, Cedric Cowherd got drafted by the Blazers, and she misspoke, and she said Colin Cowherd. And so everyone's like, wait, huh? Colin? And even Colin on Twitter was like, I must have really impressed the Blazers front office.
Yeah, a little old to go in the first round.
But what everybody's talking about after the first round of the NBA draft, which I didn't pay much attention to because after Cooper Flagg, it kind of was like, to me, blah, right? I, if the Warriors aren't drafting the top 10, for me personally, I'm kind of out. But the biggest, I guess, rage-filled moment from last night was what the New Orleans Pelicans did. And what they did was they traded up 10 picks to number 13, I want to say. 13.
Okay. To take whom? Do we know? Doesn't even matter.
The Atlanta Hawks, they traded the number 13 pick in the NBA draft to the Pelicans for the number 23 pick and an unprotected 2026 first round pick.
So that could be because it's unprotected and because you're the Pelicans, that could be like the number 1 pick because of the lottery.
That's why everyone's freaking out. You're the Pelicans. You're in the Western Conference. You're not going to be good.
So you've given up potentially a very high pick.
Yeah, you potentially have given up a number 1 overall pick.
Well, I know what they did do is they gave up a pick higher than 13 because they traded to 13 to give up a pick higher than 13. Think about that. Because there's no way they're picking lower than 13 next year because they're not going to make it to the postseason. So they traded to 13 to give up a pick higher than 13.
I like this from Tom Habistro. The Pelicans traded for Jordan Poole, and they sent away maybe the 2026 number 1 pick in the draft so they can move up 10 slots to number 13.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's an interesting strategy. You're right. Because the Pelicans, I mean, you're not going to be in the postseason.
Good job, Joe Duvars.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
But other than that, from like if you are like Mr. NBA or Mrs. NBA draft last night, you're freaking out about that. But there's really nothing else in the draft in the first round that I took away that I was like, whoa, because there was no big trades. There were no, like this was a big trade, but it was just for draft picks for a potential of the number 1 overall pick next year.
Yeah, like I expected fireworks. I expected some crazy big trade involving NBA players. And yeah, I'm with you. Honestly, by pick, like the thing really played out slowly, I realized as well. Like it was well after 11 o'clock Eastern when it was wrapping up. And again, it's not a lot. There were a lot of crying. I don't know if you were watching during picks like 26, 27.
Oh, I was not watching, John.
Man, there was a lot of tears being shed when some of these players are being drafted, which makes sense.
By the way, the Pelicans drafted Derek Queen.
Yeah, great player from Maryland.
So I hope if the Hawks do have the number 1 pick next year, man, Derek Queen better turn out to like an all-star.
I think Derek Queen's a good player, but to give up the number 1 pick would make sense for obviously the 13th pick.
And now he's got all that added pressure of we gave up all this stuff for you, so you better pan out. I think with like in terms of it just feeling like it's taking longer, I think they did that on purpose because this is the first year they're doing 2 days. In previous years, it kind of flew by because they had to squeeze in 2 rounds in one night. Now this year they're milking it for all it's worth.
Who do you think the T-Wolves take at 31, Jim?
Good question, John.
Do you think Lamont? Well, we'll talk about that later. Will Lamont Butler be drafted? The Aztec, 4 years obviously in the Aztec uniform, Aztec for life. Finished his career at Kentucky. Will Lamont be drafted? Even if he isn't, he'll likely sign as a non-drafted player. All right, we're going to hear from Kevin Acee on the other side. Padres are off. They're getting set for the Reds, Cincinnati, and the Padres tomorrow from Ohio. Plus at 4:30, Mark Ziegler from the UT will join us to talk about San Diego State basketball and the Pac-12, the latest with realignment. So Mark will join us at 4:30. We've got a giveaway for you today to share as well. We'll give that away in the 4 o'clock hour. But Kevin Acee on the other side. This is John and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Padres off day today. They start a 6-game road trip tomorrow starting in Cincinnati, and then they're on their way to Philadelphia before they return home for a 10-game homestand to end the first half of the year. NBA draft last night. Cooper Flagg went number 1 overall to the Dallas Mavericks. Round 2 gets underway later today at 5 p.m. San Diego FC, they beat Vancouver last night on the road 5-3. Our boy Milan Olowski scored 4 goals in the win, 4 goals in a 12-minute span. SDFC now sits atop the Western Conference in first place. Next up, they take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. Of course, you can listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of John and Jim. And coming up in about an hour and a half, Mark Ziegler will join the show from the Union Tribune. We'll talk about San Diego State hoops. We'll get into Pac-12 realignment as well. He's been writing about both, and he will join us coming up at 4:30. In the 4 o'clock hour, we also have tickets to give away to see Billy Idol. That'll be Tuesday, September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We had Kevin Acee with us within the last 24 hours. If you missed it, obviously the Padres heading for Cincinnati, coming off a series win over the Nationals, but they also didn't have Xander Bogaerts yesterday due to a shoulder. So here is Xander with the latest, or actually here is Kevin, not Xander with the latest on Kevin, but Kevin with the latest on Xander.
Yeah, it's kind of being described as. And look, it kind of, when I saw him last night, it's what it looked like. I wasn't able to get him last night. He was in the trainer's room for a long time. Like, that looks like something that could, aggravate what happened in San Francisco, which he says isn't like, it's obviously he's had the imaging and then it's not a break, or I can't remember if he's had the imaging actually, but it's not a break. And it's not related to last year. But then again, he says he never felt this pain before last year. And so when I've talked to doctors and others, it's like, sometimes when after you hurt something like he did with the fractured shoulder socket last year, that you then have to deal with pain sometimes. And so that seems to be what he is dealing with.
Just brutal timing on his part. Started to finally play well, and if this keeps him out for an extended stretch, just brutal for him. Kevin, won 4 of their last 5. The 26 games in 27 days stretch, 13-13. Didn't lose any ground. 8 games above 500 now. How would you describe, I guess, their first half of the season so far? Because the first half officially is on Friday, or end of the first half, I guess.
Right. Yes. It's funny. I'm trying to figure that out since obviously I'm going to do a story kind of talking about that. And it's like, it's very difficult to be too down on them because did they get back to 7 games over today?
I think it's 8.
I think it's 8.
Yeah, we think they're, what are they?
Okay.
I think it's 42 and,
okay.
Oh, is
I don't
it?
know, whatever the math is. 44 and 36?
44 and 36.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to be too down on them, especially if you look at last year's 93-win team, which was not anywhere near this good. They might have been 1 over or 500 right now. But it's been disappointing because of how they started. But then again, they were without Merrill for a long time. They have had other small injuries. Tatis here, a rise there. Guys haven't performed up to expectations. Michael King's now been out for going on? It's over a month now. Haven't had Yu Darvish yet. It's kind of amazing that they are where they're at. So honestly, this team is an enigma, and I guess that's okay when you're halfway through the season and you have the trade deadline ahead.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Kevin Acee is with us right now, our Padres insider. Well, they didn't change a lineup for such a significant period of time, and now they've changed it a few times, including once again here today. Just in general, what do you make of them, reshuffling? It hasn't necessarily worked, but they've certainly been reshuffling over the last week.
As much as anything, I think this might be about Tatis and giving him a different look in the lineup. This one here. Because, okay, move Tatis or move the other guys up one, move Merrill, I guess, back to third, but move, second, third, whatever for Manny, move Arise to first where he's been for most of his career. Moving Tatis from first to fourth is kind of big. And I felt like, Mike mentioned it and the way that he said it, I don't know. Maybe I'm bringing my own bias into it because that's what I thought it was when I first saw it. I said, this is about Tatis. Got to give him a different look. Maybe some guys on base, though he hasn't really come through there anyway. But, maybe see some pitches from other good hitters in front of him. Honestly, this is where I'm at. They would have said before the season, and Mike Schilt probably did, hey, we could put the names in a hat, pick them out, and make our lineup. And they would have meant it like, these guys are so good and we're so deep that, wherever they bat doesn't matter. Well, I'm saying the same thing now, but I'm saying it because they're not doing well. Like, who cares? Somebody get a freaking hit. Because it certainly didn't shape up today, except Luis Arise got 3 of them. Of course, he leads the league in 3-hit games. So that's not because he was batting first. But fortunately for them, he was the guy that was up when Tyler Wade was on second base, or third base, I should say, because he drove in the game's only run.
Do you envision this being the lineup going forward? It's such up in the air right now.
Schilt said he liked that one. Just yesterday, Schilt said he liked that one, and he wasn't going to change it. Right. So, look, Schilt is given more freedom to manage this team than most managers in the game. And I know that's counter to what some people think of AJ Preller, but I also know that it is done in concert, the decisions they make. I don't know what came up or what has been discussed over the last few days, but it is interesting that Schilt has done it twice here in the last 4 days. And then that just yesterday said, now I know that a lot of the stuff he says, he just says it to say it, to get us off his back. But he just said yesterday that he liked this one and he was going to stick with it. And then boom, we show up today and it's a completely different. It's a bigger shakeup, I think. And so I have no idea, man, but I do think he sticks with this for a while, based on what I think the reason was, and that is to give Tatis a different look. Tatis saw 8 pitches yesterday. He had two or three one-pitch at bats. It just wasn't working, and I've been feeling that for a couple of weeks. But I also see the wisdom of him being at the top spot. So I kind of, for one, was sort of happy. I don't know how you guys feel, but I was sort of happy to see it because the other one wasn't working.
Yeah, I'd like to see more, I guess, run production, which again is hard when you're leading off. Yeah. So this will give them that opportunity. Here's my question for you. We tossed this around a little bit yesterday. Kevin Acey's with us. If we just double Tatis's numbers, what will you write or how will you feel at the end of the year? If he's 806 on base plus slugging, he would have 30 home runs. He would have 74 RBIs. Again, that's not a big part of it because he's been leading off. He would have 32 stolen bases. So he hit 261. His 351 on base is impressive for his 261 average. Obviously, he's walked a ton. What will you write? What will you say? How would you remember 2025 if that's Fernando Tatis Jr.'s year?
What's interesting about it is I'm vamping here because I don't have a solid answer for you, but I will tell you this. I wrote, when he stole that base today, I wrote down in my notes where I have my notes of what I'm going to put in my game story and moreover my newsletter and just kind of ideas for myself. And I wrote down Toddy 30-30.
Yeah.
Because it's that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Here we are talking about what a disappointing season he's having. And we're talking about him being on pace for 30-30. Now, if we divide the season up, he's not on pace for 30-30 because, he did a lot of that really early on, and at least with the power numbers. I would say it was disappointing, some of those numbers that you threw out. I would say it's a disappointing season for Fernando Tatis Jr. based on what we thought the Padres had and what was there at the first month of the season. But what I will say is we ought to start looking at this now in the context of the salary, right? And it's a huge number. But if this guy's a I don't know what you said, 822. If this guy's an 822 OPS guy for the rest of his career, I would argue with you the way that baseball economics work, that it still was a good contract for the Padres, because contracts just keep going up. Mm-hmm. And like, he's making 20 mil for an 822 OPS guy. I mean, that's kind of what it is. So now that might be two different conversations. Is he the statue guy? Right. Or is he, hey, yeah, he's pretty good for that contract? That might be just two different things.
And he's played fantastic in right field, probably on his way to another Gold Glove out there as well. You mentioned today in your story that you posted earlier this morning that the Padres are still in search of more offensive catching help coming up to the deadline here. We've had this discussion here today, Kevin. If you had to rank where they might go in order, left field, catcher, pitching, how would you rank it?
Left field / DH, right-handed hitter, and then catcher, and then maybe starting pitching. But like, who do they have left to get a starting pitcher? Is it depth, right? Like last year where they got lucky, they got Martin Perez to throw in as their number 5 or 6 starter, and they end up going 8-2 in his starts. That'd be a great move. But it's right-handed hitter, left fielder, sure, but like Gavin Sheets playing a lot better out there. And the number one thing I hear is right-handed hitter. And we've all just sort of assumed left fielder. And sure, that has been a focus, left field, but you might be shifting a little bit based on maybe what's available and go, hey, is it somebody that we could put a DH? And now we've got Gavin Sheets out in left field. I'm not saying that that's what they want to do for the rest of the season, is Gavin Sheets out in left field, but he's been playing there a lot and he looks noticeably better. And he might not be quote unquote good, but you know what? There's a lot of offensive left fielders that aren't good in left field. So what they really need is a right-handed bat.
I'm starting to do the math here, Kevin, on you, Darvish, because he threw the sim today, right? 51 pitches, which sounds encouraging depending on how he feels. But you start doing the math, and we've been off on this before. I've played this game. Maybe there's a rehab 5 or 6 days from now, and then maybe there's a start in the major leagues or a second rehab. I mean, it doesn't sound like, just using basic math, that he would be all that far off from getting back to the major league, back to the mound.
I think that's why he was pretty, he wasn't afraid to say, around the All-Star break. And I think that before the All-Star break makes a lot of sense. And it was obviously important to them for him to get that in today up there in Elsinore. And so that you would think that means that there's a schedule, right? And because I haven't heard what the next is at 5 or 6 days, but they obviously have that in mind. If he's going to join the team, then he'll be close back there to, I don't know, San Antonio's home in 5 days. And I would think that this was big to go, as you just say, I think it was 50 or 51.
Yeah.
That's big. That's a big step. And that he's gone from 18 to 39 to 51. I would think one rehab start. But we always have the asterisk when we're talking about you, Darvish. This time.
Yeah, it's up to you. And not you, but you, Darvish. Yeah. The aggressiveness of, back to the trade deadline here, the aggressiveness, of AJ Preller do you feel like that it's not dependent on what the team does, that he's still going to have a one set mind, like, okay, I need to get this regardless of how the team's playing? Or do you think if the team starts playing better and they rip off, like Schultz says, 5, 6, 7 series in a row here, do you think the aggressiveness of AJ might, ramp up here?
That's interesting. I thought you were going to go the other way. Like, if they were to sort of become sellers or something, but you went with would he be even more aggressive? Like try to, oh, wow, it does look like we are a World Series contender. I need to get even more. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but again, I command every time I try to predict what he's going to do, I like, Kevin, why are you trying to predict what he's going to do? But the reason that I would say I don't think so is based on conversations with him and others about what they think they have, and that there is a certain reality that the players they have need to perform. And so if those guys are performing, well, it's like, okay, cool, we've already got that. And he's already going to be aggressive. So I don't think he's going to be more aggressive. Like, they need a right-handed hitter, and the reason he hasn't settled for one already is that he wants to see what the market looks like and get I don't know if you think the best that he can get. Someone can probably outbid them for the best, but like he wants to do as good as he can, get as much as he can for his offense. So I don't think it would get more based on them, like, going 5-1 on this trip, or, closing out, 17 games and maybe going 14-3 before the All-Star break. I don't think so, but that's a really intriguing question.
And is it safe to say Salas and DeVries, those guys are probably untouchable unless something big comes along?
They have to be. I have not asked that specific question in 2 or 3 weeks, but that has always been like almost like that there was no reason to ask it. Again, this guy, like Mackenzie Gore, was supposedly untouchable.
Right.
By the time Abrams got traded, you knew he wasn't untouchable, but there was a time he was untouchable. So what I'm saying is, like, I think there have been like 2 guys in the history of untouchable Padres prospects that were actually untouchable, and that was Tatis and Merrill. And I think, but yes, I think they're untouchable.
Yeah, it would make sense, but we'll see. You never know. As they say, certainly
they're in, they're going for it, but there's just certain realities, and there are people in charge alongside AJ or actually in charge that are saying, hey, how about we try to build our team a little from within since we've got all these big contracts. And so I think that contributes to the untouchableness.
Yeah, untouchableness. I like that.
There you go.
I want to see that tomorrow in a notebook.
Yeah.
Kevin, we'll catch up with you from Cincinnati, Ohio. We appreciate you taking time as always.
Yeah. All right, guys. See you.
Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate it. Kevin Ace, your Padres Insider, brought to you by the all-new Humul Casino Resort, the Players Place. On the other side, I want to hear from Jay Cronenworth.
I do too.
We'll hear from Jay Cronenworth on a variety of topics, including the Juan Soto trade. He entertained that. Plus, Mark Ziegler from the UT will join us at 4:30. We've got a giveaway for you today as well. It's John and Jim. All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Mark Ziegler will join us coming up at 4:30. The iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances by John Fogerty, Mariah Carey, and more, September 19th and 20th. T-Mobile in Vegas, 2 nights, one stage. Buy tickets at axs.com. Get them now before they sell out. Jake Cronenworth. You know Jake.
I do know Jake. Do you know Jake?
Yeah, we know of him. So he commented on a couple of different things. We'll probably hear one right now and then another one in a handful of minutes. But let's start, I guess, with what he had to say about Mike Schilt, his manager. All right, this was post-game.
No, it wasn't, John.
This was elsewhere. This was pre-game.
No, it wasn't, John.
This was in-game with Jake Cronenworth.
It was not in-game, John. It was on the Foul Territory podcast. If you
this was today.
You saw that he was a guest today on the Foul Territory podcast.
I did not see that.
Oh.
So this was Jake Cronenworth in-game. This was on the Foul Territory podcast
during his
on
at-bat.
Mike Schilt.
I want to know what's it like to play for a guy like Schilt.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I think is like his emphasis of, togetherness of the group. And he pairs that with the structure of our days. And, I think it shows like the way we play. The group is super close. And I think you can see that in the games that we're playing. It's not like we haven't been blowing teams out a lot, but it's kind of like we're in these battles every night. We're winning 1-0 like yesterday. We're winning these close games. And I think that's something from last year when he was first hired to now, that's kind of stemmed into our play. And, you see it with the rest of our coaching staff as well. And, just how close the group is and how kind of in the same direction everybody is moving.
So he loves Mike Schilt. And for all the things that we talk about with Mike Schilt, like, oh, he's cringy and his post games are at times unlistenable. And it's like, sometimes just tell the truth, Mike, and all this stuff. Players buy into him. And at the end of the day, we've said it before, that's really all that matters is if the players buy into them. Because we've seen this team not buy into managers before in the past, and it's gone horribly for them.
Can you, hold on though, Brent, can you replay the question and the first Cronenworth word he says? When he says, yeah. Listen how he says this. Does this scream love?
I want to know what's it like to play for a guy like Schilt.
Yeah, I think
he's just gathering his thoughts. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if when I heard that, I wasn't like, hey, he's enamored with Mike Schilt.
Well, so what'd you get from that? They don't like Mike Schilt?
What's he going to say?
But you took away from that they don't like Mike Schilt?
No, not at all. But I didn't take away that he loves Mike Schilt.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, if you want to read into the first thing he says is like, well, they're not really, they're kind of faking it.
I get what you're saying. No, it's not that they're faking it, but I wonder if they feel the same way we do at times.
Probably. I don't know, but they also don't watch all of his press conferences pre and post.
No,
they don't listen to Mike
more
Schilt.
Aware than we are even.
Well, Mike Schilt to the media is probably completely different than when he is with the players, because to the media, it's a complete act that Mike Schilt puts on. And to the players, he's probably more real with them.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you just didn't listen to the whole thing.
No, I heard it. I heard the whole thing.
Play it again.
Play it again. Is it because you said that the players, he loves Mike Schilt. So play it again.
I want to know what's it like to play for a guy like Schilt.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I think is like his emphasis of, togetherness of the group. And he pairs that with the structure of our days. And, I think it shows like the way we play. The group is super close. And I think you can see that in the games that we're playing. It's not like we haven't been blowing teams out a lot, but it's kind of like we're in these battles every night. We're winning 1-0 like yesterday. We're winning these close games. And I think that's something from last year when he was first hired to now, that's kind of stemmed into our play. And, you see it with the rest of our coaching staff as well. And, just how close the group is and how kind of in the same direction everybody is moving.
I think he likes him.
Yeah, I don't see how you could like take.
I'm with you. I'm not. I mean, it's just when I heard it, I thought he was going to be like effusive. And all players are effusive of praise for their manager typically, until they're no longer the manager. But that's Jay. Honestly, it's true with Jay Cronenworth, who doesn't really say much. He doesn't get excited about much. If you ever heard Jay Cronenworth like really intricate or detailed or emotional, or I haven't heard a lot from Jay Cronenworth before. So maybe for Jake, that was him loving Mike Schilt. We'll hear from Jay Cronenworth on the Juan Soto trade on the other side. I mean, I wonder what the players honestly feel about Mike Schilt, because I know what we see and hear. I get it. It's different, but are they all infatuated by his managerial style?
I'm sure there are probably things that are like, what are you doing, bro? But at the end of the day, you've heard Gavin Sheets, Manny Machado, Jay Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill. You've heard all, Joe Musgrove. Like,
yeah,
they have all praised Mike Schilt for his style of managing, especially with what goes on behind the scenes and how, he has everybody's backs. So yeah,
he's got their backs.
We know he has their backs. So I'm not gonna be like, well, the way he said that kind of means that he's probably not thinking it. Like, no, I think that what he said there is genuine. And Mike Schilt is a manager that the players buy into, regardless of what everyone else thinks about Mike being kind of corny and weird.
Yeah, potentially. All right, we're gonna hear from Jay Cronenworth. I mean, I think it's up for interpretation. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna hear from him on the Juan Soto trade coming up next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Padres have an off day today. They start a 6-game road trip through Cincy and Philadelphia starting tomorrow night. Cooper Flagg went number 1 overall to the Mavericks last night. Round 2 gets underway today at 5 p.m. And San Diego FC beat Vancouver last night on the road 5-3. Milan Iloski scored 4 goals in the win in a 12-minute span. SDFC now sits atop the Western Conference after the win. Next up, they'll take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. That game can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rapid Radio is our instant push to talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
All right, Mark Ziegler at 4:30 will join us. We'll talk some San Diego State basketball, some Pac-12 realignment. Jay Cronenworth taking time on his off day to talk to Foul Territory earlier today. He talked about
to say how much he loves Mike Schill.
To say he is enamored with. He's like, he actually, this is how I heard it went down. He emailed Foul Territory and asked if he could come on. They didn't even reach out for him.
Right.
He's like, I need to tell someone about Schilt.
The togetherness that we have in the clubhouse.
I need to talk to you guys.
But what I really
it.
mean is I hate the guy.
He hates him.
At least he wasn't on Mookie's podcast.
That is true.
Thank you.
Very good point.
All right. Well, what I really want to know is what he thinks of the Juan Soto trade.
I think any team back in 2022 when you could have got anybody was on the block for Juan Soto, like when you have a player of that caliber and you have the ability to get him as a GM, it's hard to say no. I mean, he'd been probably top 3 player in baseball since he had been in the league at the point. And it's like, man, we're getting a guy who's going to change this lineup from the minute he gets there. And you're not only getting him for, just after the trade deadline and he's hitting free agency the next year, you're getting for the next year as well. So it's like, you can say now, a few years down the road, like, oh yeah, the trade, this and that. But to your point, like, we got Michael King, we got Randy Vasquez, who's been incredible for us this year. Those pieces that we got, you look down the line, like we end up getting Dylan Cease, we end up getting these guys, and yes, the Nationals got 5 great players, and they're all probably going to have really good careers, and 3 of them are off to really great starts this year. It's hard to say, but I think the pieces we got in return are really, really good, and they've contributed for us in an awesome way.
So how did you interpret that, John? He hates Vasquez. He hated the trade. He thinks Treller should be fired.
Like, this guy's been awful.
And by the way, did you also interpret that he hates Mike Schill from that too?
No, but his takeaway for the trade is he says it's going to go down as it's a great trade. Padres won the trade based on what Cronenworth said.
He said exactly the right thing, which was, in the moment, how could you not trade for Juan Soto if you have an opportunity?
But not just that. He also said the pieces we got for now. Vasquez, Cease, King.
Now, again, not all those pieces will be here long term.
True. That's the thing.
It will be different. But he also says, say what you want about the trade now. But back then,
yeah, how could you not make the
how
trade?
Could you not make that trade? And that's, again, we're 2 days out from really this conversation being at its like peak, 3 days out. But, you hear that from Jake, and all the players, I'm sure, were in the clubhouse, hearing the rumors, talking to each other like, hey, bro, we have an opportunity to get Juan Soto. Do you think anyone in that clubhouse was like, you know what?
But James Wood,
guys.
It wasn't even on a team. That's the thing. Like, think about the major league clubhouse. I mean, you add Juan Soto, you get rid of Eric Hosmer.
Yeah.
Like you added in a guy that was having a good year in Josh Bell with the Nationals,
Brandon
but you added in Juan Soto to a clubhouse of a team that I think at the time was either 12 or 13 games over 500. I agree with that perspective. That's the point I've made for 3 straight days. I'll continue to make it. James Wood will continue to hit home runs. His career is far from over. Mackenzie Gore will continue to be good, even though his record's 3-9. But I think the point remains that I'm not going to criticize AJ Preller. I would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Every single day.
I think a lot of people would do the exact same thing.
I think everyone would have done the exact same thing, truthfully. If they were in his shoes, I think 99% of baseball people would have done the exact same thing.
You can't dangle the carrot of, you have a greater chance to win a World Series this year. Would you take it or leave it?
Right.
And have that person not reach for the carrot.
Yeah, and not just great. I think it was a much greater. Now, it is true. We think he's going to be here for 3 postseason runs. It ends up being 1,
which was the problem.
Crazy.
Which is why the trade
doesn't look near as good as it looked the day that they made it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the day they made it, it looked like something that really had legs and could lead the Padres to a World Series. But it didn't work out that way.
Let's just go back and say that the 2023 team does make the postseason, and they go to the NLDS. They get bumped in the NLDS, but they made the postseason in back-to-back years. Do you feel differently about it?
Yeah, maybe. And then they also made it this year or the last year, even if they did trade him. So that would now be 3 straight years they're in. This year, a chance to get in. Maybe I'd feel differently. Because I'm never one to say when you make a trade, you better go win a World Series, because I understand how difficult that is. That's the goal.
Do you think fans would feel differently
if they made the playoffs last year or in 2023?
If after the trade for Juan Soto, the team made the postseason the last 3 years.
Yeah, I do.
And things happen the same way where they trade Juan Soto after 2023. They get Michael King, Higashioka.
Yeah.
They trade for
Cease. I think there's a general belief, and I'm not going to go die on some hill, or I'm not going to fight it, but I think there's a general belief among Padres fans that not only did Juan Soto not work out, that it's good riddance. And I don't think it's because of his play individually. I think it's because of the team's play probably in 2023. They basically blame him for the team's poor record, even though he individually succeeded. I've never aligned with that. That doesn't make sense to me. It's like saying shoeless Joe Jackson fixed a World Series when he hit 500. How do you hit 500 and not try to win? Juan Soto was their best player. It's not his fault they didn't win in 2023, but people hold him accountable for whatever reason.
Now, when you do make, a lot of postseason appearances without the World Series trophy, then it becomes not this accomplishment that you can look back on and be like, man, at least we made the postseason. It becomes more frustrating over time, the more postseason appearances you have without a World Series.
100%.
So, a lot of teams, they have different standards, right? If you're the Dodgers, it's World Series. You're not to be like, oh, at least we made the postseason this year. No, it's World Series. If you're the Tigers from last year, making the postseason, that was an amazing accomplishment. They celebrated that. And now they're literally one of the best teams in baseball this year. But the more postseasons you make consecutively without winning a World Series, the later you get into that run of postseasons, you get more and more frustrated if you don't win. So it's like, if you made it 3 years in a row, that's great. But the frustration level now, I think, would be much higher as a fan base, because it's like, all right, guys, how are we getting over this hump? We've made the postseason the last 3 years, and everything that happened with Juan Soto and traded him, blah, blah, blah. When are we going to get over that hump? Postseason becomes not enough.
The extreme example is Atlanta. They went 15 straight years. They won 1 World Series. Now,
how do Braves fans view that?
That's a great question. Now, they got the second way later here within the last 5 years, where they got another. But that generation of Braves fans, which is 15 consecutive years, not only were they in the postseason, they were regarded as one of the best teams, kind of like the Dodgers, one of the best teams over that 15-year run. However, they won it year 5. They made it 91. They won it 95. They had 10 more postseason appearances in a row. It was harder, by the way, to make the postseason then. This was a ridiculous accomplishment. They only won 1, but I still think it's such a different story from San Diego because of the 1. 1 is so significant when you have 0. And if someone told me right now they get 1 and they make it 10 straight years, but they only get 1, I'm taking that 1 every single day of the week.
Of course you are, but then you have to say at the end of that run, do you think Braves fans were frustrated, or were they like, well, at least we got 1? Yeah, frustrated.
I mean, there was meat on the bone. But they got 1. Imagine if they got 0.
I know, it'd be even worse. We talked about this the other day. The Aaron Rodgers, they won 1 Super Bowl, right? And how many postseason consecutively did he make after that? A bunch.
Ton.
And MVPs, and they didn't even sniff the Super Bowl after that.
Right.
And I would say a lot of Packers fans feel disappointed.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. I hope we get to see a day where we can start having those conversations, which is the post-championship conversations, which is now where does the story go from here?
Well, it's always the conversation. It was like, would you take, 10 postseason runs in a row consecutively?
Yep.
Or would you have that 1 World Series in 10 years, but, 8 of the rest of the seasons, your team sucks?
Or then there's Atlanta, which is like, you have one World Series and you have 15 other postseasons, but you don't win. Shoot, the Dodgers have been a little bit of that franchise over the last 15 years. The New York Yankees have been a little bit of that franchise the last 15 years.
Yeah, last year was the first, legitimate World Series for the Dodgers since '88.
It's a long time. And they won the postseason how many times from '88 on?
Right.
I would say a good amount.
Exactly.
All right. The news cycle continues with Pac-12 rumors. We have the latest on the other side. The second round of the NBA draft gets underway in 1 hour. We'll get to the wrap at 4 p.m. and Mark Ziegler from the UT will join us coming up at 4:30. So there's a lot to get to. We're here until 6. We've got a giveaway in the 4 o'clock hour as well. So Sean and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future. We need your help, though. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. You know that meme where it's just like some dude looking at his watch and they show him in like different areas and like,
huh?
There's you use it like someone's just looking at their watch and nothing's happening.
Oh, it's like the do something meme.
There's the do something one with the stick, right?
Is this the one where the guy is just like in like a
cornfield?
Not a cornfield.
Like
I know
grass patch.
Hold on, look this up.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do, but you're not explaining it.
No, I'm not. That's why I'm asking. Do you know the one I'm talking about? The guy looking at his watch.
At watch. Hold on.
Watch. I'm doing the same thing. This one.
Oh, dude.
What?
Brent. He's like, who is this guy?
Mr. Bean?
Mr. Bean, dude.
I had no idea this was anything.
Mr. Bean is. Come on, bro.
It's Ron Atkinson, aka Mr. Bean.
I just thought it was like some GIF or meme, or I don't know what the hell this is.
You don't.
I have no idea how would I know what this is?
Yeah, you're not British, so you have an excuse.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
So
I have no idea.
What's your point? Yeah.
It's a little bit where we are here with the Pac-12 realignment.
Okay.
Because like we got the little bit of the hurry up and wait, right? We got the CBS News on Monday. And then we got some reporting that they could be adding Texas State any day now. And I still think that's probably what's happening. And then we were going to get some news maybe of additional media partners. Are we in hurry up and wait mode? Do we still think that this is going to be done in the next, what's today, the 26th? In the next day or two or three? This Pac-12 expansion realignment news, is that coming in the next day or two or three, or not necessarily?
I don't know. You tell me, Mr. Pac-12.
I'm Mr. Bean. I'm Mr. Bean.
You do kind of look like Mr. Bean a little bit.
I kind of do.
Tall, lanky.
If I was in that outfit, I would look just like that guy.
You could dress up for Halloween as Mr. Bean.
I don't hate it.
But you don't even know who Mr. Bean is. So
would anyone have any clue who I was if I did that outfit? Maybe. If I matched it to a T?
Maybe.
You'd have to do like the facial expressions and like
which are
grunt. Mr. Bean doesn't talk. He just like mumbles and stuff.
Yeah, just mumble. It's fine.
Okay. Because the roundup of like what's happening is
nothing.
Texas State could be announced any moment. They need additional media partners, although that's not as pressing. And that's kind of where we are right now. Related to I don't know if there's any reason to concern ourselves, I guess is the point. Because when it happens, it happens. It feels like there's an inevitability to them adding a school. And it sounds like Texas State. I mean, we've seen reporting from like Pete Thamel, John Canzano, and others that there's an inevitability to it. So I don't know if it's as pressing as, I don't know if people are making it out to be pressing.
Well, you're making it pressing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested by it.
I said all along, Texas State doesn't do it for me as a conference. It just
as a team.
Well, a team to add to the conference.
Yeah.
Like when you add Texas State, does that like elevate your conference? Not really.
No, I think the point is whatever TV money they're getting, they're probably getting, but they still need another school.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't think there's probably any school that was giving them a lot more money.
Now, is the CBS Paramount Plus basically essentially like the Mountain West 2.0 TV deal? Because that's what they're doing is the Mountain West Conference is on CBS Sportsnet Plus or CBS
Sports Network and some games on CBS, right?
And so now it's just going to be Pac-12 games, but
here's how I would look
Mountain West schools.
Well, here's the thing: the Mountain West, though, are they going to be doing business with CBS? Because the leftovers, I would assume, wouldn't be, but I don't have an answer.
But what if they
also,
are?
What was wrong? Here was the thing with the CBS deal. Is there an issue with the CBS deal? I think the CBS deal was a pretty good one. So, like, I would want to continue my relationship with CBS.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any problem with it. I just was, I guess, maybe expecting.
Well, I think there'll still be more
different.
Different than what it was.
Yeah, it feels like it's just a copy and paste.
Interesting. I mean, if I was copying and paste something out of the deal, I would copy and paste CBS because I want like my men's basketball championship game being called by who's called the game the last couple of years, Kevin Harlan. Okay, on CBS. I'd want my football championship game. By the way, their football championship game wasn't for the Mountain West is on Fox, not CBS. I'd want my games on CBS. I think that's a huge win to be on CBS. My question is, what else? Or where else will the games be? Because CBS is only going to be a portion of the games that are carried. But I don't have any issue like with CBS Sports Network personally. It's on YouTube TV. I don't know
I don't have an issue with it either.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of, I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of, you know, what the Pac-12, the new Pac-12 did. They have a name change. They have a lot of Mountain West Conference schools in it now. They cut a lot of the fat, which is good. Yeah. And they've added Gonzaga for basketball, which is awesome.
And Oregon State and Washington
Oregon State and Washington State to football. But if you add Texas State, what does that do for your conference other than just giving you another team?
Right. No, I think that point that you're making is a point that's being made by a lot of people, which is like, I think initially when this whole thing was going down September of last year, when we were talking about it, September, October, there was a lot of discussion around Memphis and Tulane. We spent a lot of time on it. And I think there was this belief that, hey, can you create this league that is fully the best of the rest? Mm-hmm. And then the champion of that league is going to be the college football playoff. I think now, and I don't know if they end up getting Memphis and Tulane, like as football only members or not, but let's just assume they don't because we're talking about Texas State. I guess the question is this: can the champion of the Pac-12 with the teams that it has in it right now routinely get to the playoff with Boise State, Oregon State, Washington State, San Diego State? Does the champion of that league get into the playoff? If the answer is yes, then they check the box. Mm-hmm. If the answer is yes, and we won't know until it plays out on field.
I just kind of feel a little bit like the kid from Incredibles, standing by the car waiting for Mr. Incredible to do something. And he's like, "What do you want, kid?" He goes, "I don't know, waiting for something amazing, I guess." Now, I didn't expect like something amazing. We're like, oh, they're on ESPN and they have, Apple TV Plus and they have also this and that. But I kind of was expecting a little more, I guess.
Well, I think we haven't seen the full TV deal. So I get your point there. I feel like it's open-ended. I guess I would ask this, and they could be on ESPN. Is ESPN better than CBS? If you're the Pac-12? Or is it just part of it? Like if you have CBS and you add ESPN to it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's why I'm asking it. But like
again,
to have Big Ten is not ESPN, they're on Fox.
Yeah. But also that's probably on me to have expectations that high when knowing that's not what was going to happen. This is not going to. This wasn't on day one going to turn into a Power 5 or a Power Conference.
Right. That was never going to be right.
Right. And I think that's where I probably get in my own way is thinking like, oh, they're on the cusp of potentially becoming a Power Conference with what they're doing now, but they're really not. They're just they're taking the best from the Mountain West, the remaining two from the old Pac-12. They're creating their own conference. They're using the Pac-12 name. They're keeping the identity of TV deal and a league, and making sure that they have the best of the rest. So there's an opportunity, a good opportunity, that the winner of this conference will every single year make the college football playoff.
That's the point. If you told me 5 years from now that their champion was in the playoff 4 times and they're making more money, then I think it certainly is the reason why they did it. If the champion of the Pac-12 is going to the playoff, and if the Pac-12 teams are making more money than they made in the Mountain West, then to me, it's a win. By the way, the Warriors have punted on the upcoming season.
No, don't tell me. Hold on.
Because they've traded the 41st pick in the draft.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
They didn't trade like Steph, dude.
Well, Nate, I know. I thought you're talking about like Jonathan Kuminga or something.
That wouldn't have any impact on their season either, would it? They traded Jonathan Kuminga. Would that impact them?
No, but it would change. It would start the process of them like doing things.
Okay, well, they've traded pick number 41 for picks 52 and 59. So they've moved down with the Suns 11 spots. The first Warriors pick tonight will be the 52nd
season
overall
might be cooked, guys.
Pick. So stay tuned for that. All right, 4:00 hour. We'll kick off with the wrap. Mark Ziegler from the UT. More on the Pac-12, the media deal, expansion, Aztec basketball. SDFC as well with Mark. He'll join us coming up at 4:30. Hour 3 of John and Jim. That's next on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
right. This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Padres off day today. They start a 6-game road trip tomorrow, starting with the Cincinnati Reds. NBA draft last night. Cooper Flagg went number 1 overall to the Dallas Mavericks. Round 2 gets underway later this afternoon, 5 p.m. start time. And San Diego FC beat Vancouver last night on the road, 5-3. Milan Ilovsky scored 4 goals in 12 minutes. SDFC now sits atop the Western Conference after the win in first place. Next up, they take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. That game can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of John and Jim here until 6 p.m. Mark Ziegler will join us from the UT. We'll talk about the Pac-12 and its expansion efforts and the TV deal, and we'll also talk San Diego FC with Mark. We'll talk some Aztec basketball. Will we see an Aztec for life with Lamont Butler potentially get drafted tonight? So Mark will join us coming up at 4:30. We have a giveaway for you this hour as well. Billy Idol tickets. That'll be for a show coming up in September at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. So a lot to get to here this hour. The draft, round 2, will get underway in 1 hour. The Phoenix Suns, Jim, have just traded up to the top spot in the second round, pick 31. They just did a deal with your Warriors. They've made another deal with the T-Wolves, and they've traded up to pick 31.
Wow, they're going for it.
The Suns are all in on the second round.
I don't know how to keep up with this stuff.
It's hard. How many trades are there? Like just this for that, this for that.
Like you said yesterday, if you look at all of the team's picks in this year's draft, but then look at whose original picks they were from, it's like
they're all from someone else.
Exactly. Everybody has different picks. Everyone has other teams' picks. No one really has their own pick in the draft. And there's really, I mean, is there anybody in the second round other than Lamont Butler, who has an outside shot? I don't think he's going to get drafted, but other than that, is there anybody that you're looking at in the second round? You're like, man, that could really help the team.
Yeah, I haven't broken it down.
There's no Bronny James this year,
and I don't know if he's going to help. I don't know if he's going to help the team either. Yeah, you bring up good points. Like I'll give you an example as to where the NBA is different than like the NFL. Like the Nets yesterday. I mean, they're going to have 12 or 13 players in their active roster next year. The Nets, they drafted 5 players. The Brooklyn Nets,
4 guards.
They didn't trade any of them. They just drafted 5. Like you're the Nets, you have 5 picks in the first round. You think you could do something there? Trade for talent, move up. No, just draft 5 players.
It's a new strategy, John.
Have 5 rookies,
all rookies
in the first round,
all guards.
Half of your team is rookie guards.
That's the new strategy in the league, John. You know that?
I did see Josiah in the war room last night in Brooklyn, New York,
making some
moves
there.
5 different first round picks for the Nets.
Did you text him a suggestion?
I don't have his number anymore. I don't think I ever had it actually. All right, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Will Lamont Butler be drafted tonight in the second round of the NBA draft?
Would love it. I don't see it happening. I think that he has a shot to be picked up by a team, and signed to a maybe summer league invite or
maybe a 2-way deal. I don't know enough about it.
I remember Keyshawn Johnson last year got signed to a 2-way deal by the Heat, correct?
He was drafted.
Oh, he was drafted. That's right.
Yeah. In round 50.
That was Jaden Ledee that
correct. He was signed. Did you say summer league deal?
Timberwolves.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to go with no.
You're saying no on Butler. I've been looking it up a little bit today on social media and looking on like X, for example. I mean, there are some mocks that would have him included in the 50s, but there's a number that don't have him included. And I'm with Jim in terms of he'll sign. He'll get a chance with an NBA team this summer in Las Vegas. I don't know if he's going to get drafted. I'm rooting for it. I'll be watching because I'm curious to see if his name is called or not. But I'm hopeful, and hopefully he'll stick whether he's drafted or not. Next question.
In 2 years, who's going to be a bigger face of the NBA? Wembanyama or Cooper Flag?
Thank you to
I was going to say, where do you steal this from?
Thank you to what's my favorite show on this station for years on end?
Colin?
The Odd Couple?
Odd Couple?
No. Jason Smith show.
Yeah, the Jason Smith show with Mike Harmon.
They maybe discussed this. I can't say for sure.
You'll never know.
We'll never know if they discussed it or not.
That would be Victor Wembanyama. I think right now, Wembanyama is a top 5, 6, 7 player in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
top
like
7.
He's ridiculous.
He's amazing.
I mean, I got to see with Cooper Flag. Everyone has this very high ceiling for him.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch Wembanyama, you're like, that's different. When you watch Cooper Flag, are you saying that's different?
It's a good. I mean, Wembanyama one dribble from half court and he's like at the rim. It's ridiculous what he's able to do.
He's improved his 3-point shooting.
Great shooter.
No one will ever
Good
block his
finisher.
shot.
He can't block his shot. He's a good shot blocker, obviously, at his size. I'm with you. I tend to think it's Wemby. Who wins faster out of the San Antonio-Dallas dynamic?
You would then pick, I think, Cooper Flag.
But then again, is he going to be focal point number one when Dallas is winning immediately? Or is it still going to be like Anthony Davis or Kyrie Irving?
No, if Kyrie comes back and he's healthy, and Kyrie signed, I think, a 2-year deal, he won't return until like the middle of the season.
Right.
If he returns and he looks good, stretch run into the postseason, Anthony Davis has to stay healthy. I know it's a big if.
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
right.
Has to stay healthy. But if he stays healthy, and if Clay can give you 60 to 65 games next year, Dallas can be good. And Cooper Flag, rookie, he's going to play every game that he's healthy, right?
Yep.
I think Cooper Flag and the Mavericks have a better chance to win. And I'm curious to see what they do. I'm curious to see what they look like. Because, Nico Harrison has a vision when he traded away Luka.
Yeah, you're right. And he might have a chance to see it a little quicker than he thought because he got the number one pick in the draft.
Right.
Not in the deal, but ultimately ended up with it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I tend to think Wemby, but man, people are making Cooper Flag out to be.
Wemby's the better player, not close.
Well, there's no question. There's no question. We'll see what it looks like in 2 years.
I think it's going to be Wemby just because he's already the man on his own team. Cooper Flag's the third wheel.
Wemby's
as
just
of right
the man
now.
on his team. Wemby's the man.
Bro, hold on.
Wemby's awesome.
Hold on a second.
What are you looking up? His stats?
Just listen to these stats for Victor Wembanyama in year number, 2?
2.
All right. Last year. No, he only played 46 games because he was injured.
Yeah.
All right. But in those 46 games, John, he averaged 24 points, 3.8 blocks per game.
Wow.
11 rebounds. And he shot
assists.
3.7 assists. And he averaged, he shot 35% from 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. That's
47% from the field.
Kind of a unicorn. 4 blocks a game, 25 points a game.
He's already
rebounds.
on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Just in your, you could see it. He's Hall of Fame talent.
Yeah, there's no question.
Cooper Flag's a really good player. I don't know if I can say Hall of Fame talent right now.
7'3" is special. With this skill set, you're 7'3", it's ridiculous. Next question.
Was the opening round of the NBA draft underwhelming?
Other than Cooper Flag and the Pelicans trading the unprotected first-round pick next year, I don't know. And Ace, what's his name? Ace Bailey?
Yeah, Ace Bailey went to the Jazz.
Went to the Jazz, did not want to go to the Jazz.
Right.
The Raptors drafted somebody and he immediately got up and said the F word, like, oh no, I'm going there. Other than that, blah. And once again, ESPN, luckily I didn't watch it, but I did see like clips of it and clips of their broadcast with once again Stephen A. Smith yelling, them going to Kendrick Perkins to talk about draft picks instead of Bob Myers was a joke. So I'm glad I did not watch that draft last night.
I did watch it. It was underwhelming, the coverage. And listen to this. Ratings are out for round 1, down 15%. Because, again, after Cooper Flag, were people there for the next 3 hours? I think the Cooper Flag thing, okay, maybe it's generational. Everyone knows the name. Huge story, but he went first 5 minutes in, and everyone knew it. You said it all day leading up to it. Cooper Flagg's going number 1 overall. There was no intrigue there, and the ratings indicate that 15% drop in ratings for the NBA draft.
I do think there is massive fatigue with the analysts and Stephen A. Smith and just the whole production that the NBA does on ESPN. I do think if they had better announcers, better analysts, I do think it would help. I don't know if it would help a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it would help from, like you see on social media, just how awful some of the stuff is that they're producing as far as the production goes. People just don't want to tune into that. They just are like, I'm not tuning into that. Why do I want to hear Stephen A. Smith yell about random stuff?
I think you make a good point. Next question.
Would you guys like to see Fernando Tatis Jr. in the home run derby?
That would be a no, John. That would be a no.
Just because it's Tatis.
Well, we have seen what home run derbies do to players in the past where they have great first halves and then they lose all their power because of fatigue in the second half.
But what about players that are going the opposite way?
They need help?
Now, again, he's had a good half. It is true. But haven't we said before, don't you need to see at some point Fernando Tatis Jr. in a home run derby just because?
I thought I did, but
like
not
when he was
anymore.
young.
Like in 2021,
yeah,
when he had an opportunity at Dodger Stadium,
yeah,
and he didn't do it because of his shoulder.
Right.
But after that, and then the shoulder injury and the surgeries.
So you're kind of cool with it.
I'm cool with it. Now, I will say, if he did, participate in the home run derby this year, that'd be kind of cool because he would be competing alongside Ronald Acuna Jr., who declared for the home run derby today. I'm sure that you'll get some other big names if Tatis would join along with Acuna.
Here's a dumb question I'm going to ask. Do you have to be an all-star?
No.
The reason I ask is there's no guarantee right now that Tatis is an all-star, correct?
No, he did not make the finalist list for the all-star team.
So, I mean, I would guess he only has a coin flip shot at being an all-star.
He would need to be selected by
Dave Roberts.
Yeah. And no, don't the players get and like the coaches get to choose?
Well,
and
Dave Roberts is the coach.
And Dave only has a certain amount of picks?
Maybe. I have no idea.
I think that's it. Dave doesn't get to pick the rest of the team. He only picks a couple.
Right.
And then the rest of the team is voted on by the players.
Either way, though, he's still not guaranteed. There's no assurance, even if it goes through the players, that he makes the team.
But the fan voting, he is not a finalist.
Right.
So he will not be able to make the team as part of the fan voting. Manny has a chance, and he's the only Padre.
Yeah. Yep.
That
was just announced today.
Yeah, along with Max Muncy. Those are the two third basemen.
Which
in the
will be
National
interesting because Muncy obviously is with the Dodgers.
Yep. And it resets now. So it's not
completely resets. Yeah. And you'd say Manny has a good shot, but when you're going up against the Dodgers and it's a fan vote.
But he'll be an all-star if he's voted.
No doubt. No doubt. But we'll see if he starts or not. What do you got, Bram?
Home run derby participants are selected through an invitation process by Major League Baseball. So if they send him an invite, he could participate even if he's not an all-star.
Do you think it's an Evite where it pops up, balloons come out of
You've
it?
You've been chosen.
Hey, Fernando, you've been invited.
Probably not.
To a Monday night event on ESPN with Chris Berman.
Or not, because Chris Berman doesn't do it anymore. And they have Carl Ravitch, and it's it makes you fall asleep.
I know, but you get the point.
Do you think Pete Alonso says, welcome back?
Probably.
There's Chris Berman, but Chris Berman is under contract to do something like primetime on ESPN Plus or something.
Certain primetime games, and then Super Bowl, he'll be there and does the Super Bowl primetime, and I think it's postseason as well.
Postseason baseball?
Some postseason football, like
football?
Primetime.
Gotcha. Yeah. 100%. All right. At 4:30, Mark Ziegler is going to join us. We're giving away Billy Idol tickets this hour as well. We are here until 6 p.m. Don't go anywhere. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio. Hey guys, it is John and Jim again for the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and things are getting real this summer out at Hamul. They've got a luxe hotel tower along with a long list of new amenities. You've got more ways to play and enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. Players, when it comes to satisfying your wants and needs, they're not playing around. This is way more than a place to game. It's a place you can play in every possible way. It's opening late summer. Reservations now open. Visit HamulCasino.com.
And get ready to elevate your gaming experience with their brand new casino app. You get 200,000 bonus coins when you sign up and enjoy real rewards with every in-app purchase. Just play online at playhamulcasino.com. That's playhamulcasino.com.
Plus, catch all the sports action this summer at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub. Great food. Catch all the action where fandom meets fantastic. It's at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. A reminder, make sure to download the all-new iHeartRadio app and find us there. Search for San Diego Sports 760. Put us in your presets. Listen live to the show. Find John and Jim. You can listen back to any hour or interview of the show. Put us in your presets. Listen to this quote from Adam Silver. Mark Ziegler, UT will join us at 4:30. Listen to this quote. You hear it? No.
Oh, yeah.
This is what he said. This is what he said on the Achilles injuries in the NBA.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
I mean, this to me is not rocket science, but you tell me. He says, I'm hopeful that by looking at more data, by looking at more patterns, the ability with AI to ingest all video of every game of a player to see if you can detect there's some pattern that we didn't realize that leads to an Achilles injury. This to me is not rocket science. I mean, is it? It's like they've played a lot of games. Are you laughing at this quote or?
Well, yes, I'm laughing at the quote because you're absolutely right.
It's like, it seems to me like the physicality of the postseason, the length of the postseason. Now, again, we've said it's been going on for 20 years, but it just seems like it's pretty clear. Like these guys are taxed, they're overworked, and they're breaking down.
The best quote tweet of that was somebody that went to Chat GPT and they said, create an image of Allen Iverson looking at a torn Achilles in a hospital. And because he goes, we're going to go to AI, and everyone's like,
oh, that's hilarious.
AI?
That's hilarious.
Allen Iverson?
That's hilarious.
Why does Allen Iverson need to look at this stuff?
But don't you like, do we need AI on this? Like artificial intelligence, or is it kind of right in front of our face? Again, bigger, stronger, faster, lots of you've said it. Hey, maybe shorten it to 70 games, or Colin Cowherd, hey, shorten the postseason. I mean, it seems like the answer would be, well, they're playing a lot of games, and the players are breaking down at a higher clip.
What do you got, Brent?
I was going to say, did you see one of the other things he kind of alluded to yesterday in his pre-draft interview was that, Well, some of these players, they're working out like 2 or 3 times a day. And he was kind of alluding that, that's adding to their payload because besides just practice and team activities, they're also working out separately on their own multiple times a day.
Here's what I don't get from leagues.
Okay.
Especially the NFL and the NBA now.
Okay.
Is when there is a bunch of injuries, and I'm talking like, as we saw in the NBA this year, 8 torn Achilles.
Big numbers, huge.
If in the NFL, if there's a bunch of injuries and everyone's freaking out about it.
Right, knees or heads.
When asked about these injuries, what does the league's response be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's their fault, not ours. That's essentially what Adam Silver is saying here is like, it's not our fault. No, we didn't do anything wrong.
AI.
Yeah, we'll look at it, but what does we'll look at it mean? We don't really care.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Or like, okay, this Achilles thing that's playing out.
There's no accountability.
Let's use like baseball. Like obviously the arm injuries have increased at a drastic rate over the last, like, let's say 30 years, right? There were less arm injuries, like the Tommy John type injury in 1990 than there are in 2025. What is the reason as to why? I mean, I would tell you the reason as to why. I mean,
it's doctor, but
I mean, they throw as hard as ever. Guys throwing like 103 now.
Athletes nowadays compared to back in like the 60s and 70s, it's not even close.
Breaking pitches are everywhere. Look at the different types of breaking pitches that are being thrown. We didn't even have some of these words 30 years ago in terms of some. So it's like some of the stuff I'm just saying is right in front of our eyes, but I guess my point is we're just looking other ways. Like I can tell you what's going on in baseball. The elbows aren't meant for this type of torque. Okay. The Achilles isn't meant to play 120 games when you add in the regular season, the postseason, and preseason, now again, did they do it in 1990? Did Michael Jordan play 100 games? Yeah. So that's not the full explanation, but I would say that it still goes back to the bigger, stronger, faster argument because I do think humans can only do so much, and we've gotten to a point where like you're really testing that theory is playing out in real time.
It's also the way the game is played. Back in the 90s, dude, it's a half-court game.
Interesting.
Half-court game. You're not seeing 130 to 125 games. Rarely are you seeing that. It's all in the 90s, 80s. I mean, if you go back and watch a game and you see like the box scores, some games are like 74-68.
Yeah.
Like
80 to 79.
You don't ever see that in today's game. So the style of play has changed to a up pace. The pace of play has gotten faster. And it's not like it was back in the 90s. But what I would like the NBA to do is instead of saying stuff like Adam Silver there, deflect. And that's not our fault.
It's just kind of recognize.
Take accountability.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, there are too many of our star players getting injured by the same injury. And 8 Achilles tears this year is too much. So we need to protect our players. We need to make sure that the star players in our league aren't being affected like they are with these types of injuries. And we need to seriously look at a way to fix that, whether it be reducing games, whether it be less back-to-backs, whether it be more rests, take away the play-in tournament, take away the stupid in-season cup. Like we need to figure out a way to protect our players and make sure that our stars stay healthy. Instead, he's saying stupid stuff like that. Like, we look at AI. Like,
we're talking about Hall of Famers that have gone down in the last couple of months, right? Like Jason Tatum, right? His trajectory. Dame Lillard. Tyrese is a young player, but a very good player. I don't know who the other 5 Achilles injuries are. Maybe you know 1 or 2 or 3 of them.
The top 3 are Lillard, Tatum, and Halliburton.
Yeah. But I mean, those are massive names. They really are. Those are massive, massive names. To lose all of those players in one postseason.
I saw a stat the other day of players that have torn their Achilles.
Okay.
Pre and post. And all of their numbers, pre are really good. All of their numbers post all go down. The only player that has scored more points per game post has been Kevin Durant.
Oh, wow.
Every other player, their points per game goes down. And every player, by the way, even Kevin Durant, their games played per year have all gone down.
Yeah, because they're more cautious with the injury.
So like Klay Thompson, I'm just naming off a couple of recent ones. Klay, Kobe, Kevin Durant.
It's interesting.
All of those players, their games played before were like in the mid 60s, almost at the 70 mark. Post, they're not touching that.
Right.
So it's hard to think that post Achilles tear for these young guys, Tatum and Halliburton.
These guys are young, yeah.
Dame's in his 30s, but especially Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum. It's hard not to imagine and think that post Achilles tear that they're at least something that they were doing well is going to drop. Like whether it be amount of games played in a season, points per game, production, like it's gonna drop, and that's the worst part about it.
Kind of interesting. I just looked up the 8 players that tore their Achilles this season. 3 of them play for in Indiana.
Yeah,
it's Rick Carlisle.
You have Wiseman, Halliburton, and I forget the other guy.
And the other
Isaiah Jackson.
Oh yeah, that guy.
It must be something
training
in the water.
staff.
Yeah. All right. On the other side, Mark Ziegler from the UT, the latest on Pac-12 realignment, San Diego State basketball, Lamont Butler, San Diego FC. Mark Ziegler joins us on the other side. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples. We'll start with the Padres. They have an off day today before they start a 6-game road trip through Cincinnati and Philadelphia starting tomorrow night. The NBA draft, we're about 30 minutes away from round 2. Cooper Flagg, obviously the highlight headline from day 1, drafted number 1 overall by the Dallas Mavericks. And San Diego FC, with their win last night over Vancouver, is now atop the Western Conference in first place. Milana Lasky, the star last night, scoring 4 goals in 12 minutes. Next up, they take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. Of course, that you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. How many times have we all said that was easy? Well, the Staples Easy button is back. It's got everyone saying it again for custom prints, shipping services, even passport photos, plus quality products delivered next day to over 98% of the U.S. Staples. That was easy.
All right, we're going to connect with Mark Ziegler momentarily. Of course, covers San Diego State men's basketball for the Union Tribune, and much, much more. And we've got Mark back with us right now on John and Jim San Diego Sports 760. Mark, we always appreciate the time. I know you've been reporting on the Pac-12 as this continues to play out, realignment, expansion, media deals, so on and so forth. Are you expecting at this point, we've seen some of your reporting and elsewhere, are you expecting like the expansion piece to be done by June 30th, this Texas State edition? Are we just days away from that, or potentially even less?
It has to be done by then, or they were not going to be in the CFP next year, and Texas State's going to have a doubled exit fee from $5 to $10 million. So there's incentive on both sides of the deal to get it done. I think the troubling part is that it's taken this long, and they're bumping right up against the deadline. They've had 9 months to find another school, and kind of been dawdling with the mediation with the Mountain West for the exit fees and poaching fees, and then with their TV deal, which still is not completed. We just seen a little, piece of it. They're right up on the deadlines, and I suspect we'll hear something probably over the weekend. I mean, it's the worst kept secret in college athletics that Texas State is the team or the school that they want, but I think they have to get this done over the weekend.
So say they get it done, they get Texas State. After that, any additional expansion teams after Texas State, or is that down the line?
I mean, I think the only one that would be a possibility would be if they could get Memphis for football only. Memphis wants to go to the Big East, but that piece has to happen first. The Big East has to actually take them in basketball and all of the sports. They're not coming in as a full member, I believe, just because they had a chance to come before, didn't want to. And I think internally, from what I've heard, they just really don't want to put all their athletes on planes across the country for every single road trip with nobody close to them in the Pac-12. And so it doesn't really make sense in sports other than maybe get away with it in basketball, but that's still a lot of travel for their basketball team. And in football, I don't think it really matters the travel. You're playing 6 road games, you get on a charter plane, where those charter flies 2 hours or 3 hours. It doesn't really matter at that point. You're staying in a hotel, with a 120 person group. So I think football makes the most sense, and that'd be the only one, but I don't see that happening imminently. And so I think we're just going to see these 8 for the time being.
Mark Ziegler from the UT with us right now, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So you referenced the initial TV deal that was announced, the deal with CBS. I think that was released on Monday. What do you think, addition to CBS, like what makes sense for the Pac-12? What are you expecting in the days and weeks to follow as they complete this media deal?
I think the big thing for me is the streaming component. Okay. And how much of that streaming is going to have to be produced, and those costs borne by the individual institutions. So if you look at the AAC, they got, I believe, close to $10 million per school, but they had to give back. They had to reinvest like $1 to $2 million a year in content production, getting it to ESPN Plus quality. For a school like San Diego State, that is an enormous investment because they've fallen way behind on streaming capability because they're in a league, the Mountain West, that doesn't prioritize it and doesn't mandate it. And so they rank out or near the bottom in streaming capabilities within the Mountain West. And you have a lot of schools in there like Nevada and San Jose State that really have no resources. They're still ahead of San Diego State. So it would be an enormous expenditure for them if the streaming component requires investment by them in infrastructure and cameras and all that type of thing. So that's the big thing. The key pieces of their inventory are gone. 3 basketball games on the network, 3 football games on the network, the championship games for football and men's basketball. Those are all snapped up by CBS. What we don't know is who has Boise State home games. I'm assuming CBS has that as well. there's not a lot of really valuable inventory left. So I think you'll see it cobbled between a bunch of maybe a CW and then a streaming partner, which, probably will be ESPN Plus. They want to get involved in most leagues, but don't know that for sure.
What about the now, I guess, old Mountain West, the rest of the conference that has not moved into the Pac-12? What's their, I guess, TV deal going to look like? Because, Mountain West was on CBS Sports Network. Now the Pac-12 will be on CBS as well. Like, what's the, I guess, old Mountain West or whatever is remaining going to do now?
Yeah, it's going to be the interesting question to see if, I've seen some reports saying that this is not good for the old Mountain West because, you just took CBS, their major partner, out of the equation because they're going to be in the Pac-12. But I've also heard reports from people within the Mountain West saying that that's not the case. We're talking to CBS and they might want both of us. It certainly won't be for the same dollars as the Pac-12. I just don't think there's enough quality inventory. Although I will say that, Air Force football obviously has some appeal as a service academy, but UNLV football is rapidly becoming one of the top programs on the West Coast. And at their current trajectory, they're going to be, as good or better than Boise State and as attractive to networks. So I think that will get them a little bit more than maybe they were anticipating just because of that. It's still an okay basketball conference because you have New Mexico, you have UNLV if they can get things going again. But it's going to be less. And, maybe CBS steps aside and they're scrambling to find another partner, another primary partner.
Mark Ziegler from the UT with us right now on John and Jim. Would you expect, and this is just kind of predicting it out, like you said, the Mount West announcing, or excuse me, the Pac-12 saying that the CBS deal will include championship games. Do you think Mount West, I'm confusing myself now with the Pac-12 and the Mount West. Do you think Pac-12 championship games in basketball and football will be played in Las Vegas?
I think the basketball will for sure. I know they've already had some preliminary talks with T-Mobile, which is now vacant because the Pac-12 was in there. Nobody's in the MGM Grand Garden. You also have Michelob Ultra Arena, which is across the street at the Mandalay Bay, which is where the Pac-12 women's tournament was. So you've got venues there, and it makes the most sense. As far as the football game goes, I don't know. I would think you'd want to keep it in one of your school's venues just because of the attendance piece of it. I don't know if there's enough interest in Pac-12 football yet to play it there, but maybe their internal, polling and information says otherwise. But that would be my sense. I definitely think basketball is going to be there.
Mark, what do you think happens with Lamont tonight? Do you think that late second round here or most likely picked up maybe after the draft as like a G League, or not G League, but Summer League invite?
It's probably most likely he just gets picked up. He goes undrafted. But, the thing with the NBA draft is once you get past like the 45th pick and you get the back 15 picks of the second round, I think anything goes. I mean, a guy like Hayden Gray from UCSD is in the draft. He could get picked by somebody. Those picks aren't really super valuable, and teams, if they really like a guy, tend to take a flyer on someone or to someone they think they can really develop or has a specific skill set that fits their organizational philosophy. They'll take flyers. And if you look at mock drafts, they're usually not very accurate when you get to like into the 50s. And that's why you have guys in Europe that they're going to stash in Europe for a couple of years, but have their rights. So there's a whole lot of things that happen in the second round. I never try to make predictions about what's going to happen in the back half. I think the first 15 picks, there's a group of guys that, most expect to be taken, and they probably will. But once you get past that, anything goes.
When we look ahead 12 months, I look at what happened last night in the opening round. We saw Nick Clifford from Colorado State, who went back for that fifth year and became a first-round pick. I think he went 24th, maybe 23rd, but 23rd or 24th overall. He ends up with the Sacramento Kings. With Miles Bird returning, we know Magoon Guatha's return. He was never going to go to the NBA this year, but he considered leaving, obviously, via the portal. But when you look at a Bird or you look at a Guath 12 months from now, could their ceiling ultimately be at some point in the first round of next year's NBA draft?
100%. I mean, I think if Miles Bird was still in this draft, he would probably be going in the 40s, somewhere in that middle part of the second round to probably a pretty good organization that was going to invest in him but maybe not with a guaranteed contract, which is what he wanted. To get in the first round, he's got to move up, 10 or 15 spots. I think that's really doable, given his skill set. But, they've told him what they want him to do. He's got to put on weight. He's got to become more consistent with his 3-point shot, probably gamble a little bit less on defense, develop the capabilities of secondary playmaker, maybe a little bit of a mid-range. And so all those things I think are within his reach, and you can see, Magoon is just a talent that you rarely see in college, and you see more of his kind of skill set in the pros. You look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, who just won an NBA title. That's the kind of skill set, unique skill set, the unicorn skill set that Magoon possesses. Now, can he develop that in 1 year to that level? I don't know. He's had a couple injuries. He's had not a lot of game time over his career. And so it's going to take a while, but we started to see that, in the middle of the season before he got hurt. And if he carries that through for an entire season, he'll definitely be a first round type pick. And the other guy I would say, don't sleep on Reese Waters, because you just saw a 5th-year guy in Nick Clifford who has kind of the same kind of skill set and size that Reese does, and shooting ability, just come out of nowhere and end up as a first round pick. Reese has that skill set, and it shows that teams aren't afraid to take an older guy. Usually that's a big, big negative, but they took Nick. The Sacramento Kings believe in him. And I could see, for the big season, Reese Waters, everyone's sleeping on him, but he is incredibly talented. And if he's healthy, I think he might actually be their best player.
Switching gears here, Mark, what do you make of SDFC in their expansion year? This is an incredible story.
Yeah, they've really, really done well. I wrote a story a couple of weeks ago about how it's a very expansion-friendly league. Over the last decade or so, expansion teams are making it like 60% of the time into the playoffs. So the fact that they're a playoff caliber team shouldn't be that surprising in this league, the way it's set up. But the fact that they're in first place in the Western Division midway through the season, a little bit past midway through the season, they just beat the 3rd place team and the 1st place team on the road, and convincingly. That should tell you something about what this team, and they don't have 2 or 3 of their best players right now. They're away on international duty or hurt, in the case of Chucky Lozano. That should really tell you something about the type of team they put together, the camaraderie, the style of play, the coaching, all of it. And, their stated goal was just to make the playoffs this year. But I think some guys in that locker room are going to start thinking about a championship, and they should. They're good enough. The MLS doesn't have dominant teams because it's a single entity, heavily salary cap league. It's not the best league in the world, so that you can go get players and be instantly competitive. You don't have to be, Manchester City or Real Madrid to win this league. And so I think it's in the realm of possibility that they can at least contend for it. They're going to have some home, at the way things are going, they're going to have home playoff games, the big advantage playing the Snapdragon. So it's going to be really fun to watch the second half of the season here and see what they can do with it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you view as, great story, or they're actually really good team? Would you say that, it's both? It's a great story, but man, they're also really, really good.
I think so. I think this last couple games have maybe changed the league's perception on them. I think that it's a good question, because I think before it's like, oh, this is a great story. Yeah, they're, expansion team, but they don't have a lot of depth, and they got a bunch of road games coming up. They haven't really played anybody in the top. They hadn't played anybody in the top 4 of either conference before the last couple of weeks. So, you could say they hadn't played really quality teams. They kind of got fat on an easy schedule, a lot of home games. But when you go on the road and you win at Minnesota, you go on the road and you win very convincingly at Vancouver last night, and a guy who you just kind of picked up as a sort of injury insurance, who the MLS has passed over for years, has 4 goals in the first 65 minutes or whatever it was. That tells you have a pretty good front office, and you have a pretty good system that he can just be plug and play and do that. Not just score a goal, but score 4 of them. Is really, really impressive. So I think they've gone beyond just a good story. I think the rest of the league is starting to take them pretty seriously now, and they should.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year. We'll see how it finishes up here for SDFC. Mark, always appreciate you taking time. Great reporting and insight for our listeners. So thanks for doing it. We'll do it again later this summer.
Okay.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Great stuff. Mark Ziegler from the UT. We'll react. Plus, we're giving away Billy Idol tickets on the other side. We're grading the Padres first half as well, coming up at 5 p.m. This is John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. It's the Bonus Bucks giveaway. Listen for the keyword entered at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up at 5 on San Diego Sports 760. So in 10 minutes, you got a chance to win. Also coming up at 5 is the second round of the NBA draft. Padres off today. We'll get into their first half coming up at 5 p.m. as well. But we're keeping our eye on round 2 of the draft. Good to catch up with Mark Ziegler. We've talked a little bit about SDFC today. You asked a really good question.
Of course I did.
There's a and Mark,
you don't hear those very often.
Mark pointed that out. That was like, it's one thing to be a good story. It's another thing to be a good team. And there's a difference, because a good story from an expansion team oftentimes like, oh, a little engine that could. Wasn't that cute? At the playoffs, they were the 8th seed. And they lost.
Right. Exactly.
But then the good team, like I don't even know, dude, because I don't know enough about the history of Major League Soccer, but I'm thinking now American sports. Like there aren't a lot of examples of teams picked to finish last that become first.
Now, didn't St. Louis, a newly expansion team in their first year, make the postseason? They're one of the better teams in the league. I want to say yes.
Yeah, but like Mark just said, he said 60% all time of expansion teams in the league make the playoffs. So that alone isn't unique. But like winning the MLS Cup, or making the MLS Cup would be impressive.
I mean, look, winning the MLS Cup in year one,
right? Now again, they
would
got a long way
be
to go.
The greatest sports story, one of the greatest sports stories you could think of. I mean, especially in soccer, especially MLS, dude.
Yeah, in MLS. Like, but I'm trying to think. Like, give me an example. And for our listeners, I'm sure there's a lot. 70470 start with team, or 877-767-4760. Like heading into the year, just hear me out. The Cleveland Browns is their pick. The prognosticators are gonna be like, they're not good, right? They're going 2-15, 3-14, whatever, right? And then they go 14-3. Like that's very unlikely, right? In the NFL.
Yeah.
But it can happen. Or like Oklahoma City wins 20 games the next year, they win the NBA Finals. Like, is there an example you can think of in those sports, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball in recent history of like a worst to first?
Well, you see that in the NFL because how it works is if you finish last in your division, you get an easier schedule. So it's like made for parity.
True. But do you often go from worst to first, even with the easier schedule?
Not always, but it's a better opportunity.
I agree.
I'm trying to think here. Well, Philadelphia, the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl last year, and the year before that, they did make the postseason, but they were not great. They kind of tailed off at the end. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of one right now.
Now, again, to your point, SDFC, it's hard because they didn't even have a year before. So you
there's
can't
nothing
even
to draw
compare
off
them
of.
to themselves. What do you got, Brett?
The only one I can think of, and it's not that recent, would have been in the 90s when the Twins played the Braves in the World Series. They both went from worst to first.
I was thinking that too. Yeah, that's a good one. They both had lost like 100 games the year before.
Yeah, you've seen in baseball for sure, where a team the previous year maybe they didn't make the postseason, and the following year they make it and they make a run.
Yeah, sure. This is almost like, but again,
like
first place.
Padres that like 2023 they finished in what, fourth place in the division, third place, missed the postseason, and the following year they're in 93 wins.
But then again, the expectations were always high.
Yeah,
they were high in 2023. They remained high in 2024.
Yeah, but from worst to first.
Yeah, it's not like SDFC was worst. They were just picked to be worst, and now they are first. So it is an amazing story. I'm with you. It's an amazing story, and there are examples, and I'm sure we're missing a million of them.
Mm-hmm.
And people can text us 70470 started with team, or 877-767-4760.
I'm looking here.
Like
the
most surprise seasons,
the most significant worst to first teams in the NFL.
Okay.
Let me scroll down here to the number one team. The number one team, John, would be the 1999 St. Louis Rams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Rams were an also ran back then. Patriots back in the day were an also ran.
They were 4-12 in 98, and they won the Super Bowl in 99.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a great one.
The 01 New England Patriots.
Yep.
First season, Bill Belichick was 5-11. Next year, Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right. So it happens.
The 06 Saints, they went 3-13 to 10-6 following year.
That's what I like about sports. It's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah, but these are all NFL teams. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. The 2017 Philadelphia Eagles. They were 7-9 in 2016, and then the next year they went 13-3 and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a perfect one. That's a perfect one.
That's a pretty recent one. I want to see if there's any more. If there's a more recent one than that. 2017. As of right now, doesn't look like it as far as like accomplishment goes.
Right.
That might be the most recent team of being in last place the one year, and then the next year win the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, what SDFC is doing, and you don't need us to tell you, is special. I mean, the expansion team that's in first place right now in the Western Conference. We'll get back to the Padres on the other side. We're giving out first half grades. They're 80 games in. They will begin the second half technically this weekend in Cincinnati. They'll open a series against the Reds tomorrow afternoon. So we'll get back to the Padres to kick off the final hour of John and Jim. Stay with us. This is actually, we're going to give away Billy Idol tickets. Let's do that right now.
Caller number 4.
Caller number 4. That's right. Caller number 4. You're going to see Billy Idol Tuesday, September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Fourth caller, you're going to see Billy Idol Tuesday, September 23rd at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call 877-767-4760 right now. 877-767-4760. Pick up the phone and call right now. 2 free tickets. See Billy Idol Tuesday, September 23rd in San Diego. Make it a summer of live music. $30 concert tickets to 1,000 plus shows on sale now. livenation.com/ticket to summer. Stay with us, John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Padres have an off day today. They start a 6-game road trip tomorrow, starting in Cincinnati. Cooper Flagg went number 1 overall last night to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA draft. Round 2 is about to get underway right now in Brooklyn. And last night, San Diego FC beat Vancouver 5-3. Milan Olowski scored 4 goals in 12 minutes in the win. SDFC now sits atop the Western Conference after the victory. Next up, they'll take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. That game can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping and add code radio to get an extra 5% off.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of John and Jim. We are here until 6. Padres off day, NBA draft coverage. We've got that for you if anything interesting develops over the next hour, because the second round will get underway in mere moments. We started the show today, Jim, talking about the Padres at the halfway point. I feel like that's fair, even though they only played 80 games and they still have one more in the first half. Is that going to change your opinion?
No,
I don't think so. So we're talking about the Padres at the halfway point. They're heading to Cincinnati and they'll play 3 against the Reds, 3 against the Phillies. And we both gave them, I think some of our listeners might be surprised to know, we both gave them favorable grades. We didn't give them critical grades. We didn't say
Jim, you're
C.
always negative.
Right. No, we're not saying C-. We're not saying D. Nobody's saying F. In fact, we settled on a good, strong B performance for the team at 44-36. We said that's a strong, good B. Like you said, out of 185 on a test score is what you'd give the Padres at this point in the year.
Now, I'm not diving too deep into like the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, their runners in scoring position numbers, or, their left field this year has been a awful black hole for this team.
Right.
Their bench, their catchers, the injuries to their starting rotation and all that.
Just saying, hey, halfway home, they're a B.
I'm looking at their record and record alone.
Okay.
Their record, to me, would warrant a B grade. I think that's very fair. Now, if you look into all the stuff that I just mentioned, you could maybe go lower. You could say maybe a C plus, maybe a B minus.
Right.
Right? Because with runners in scoring position, they've been just like as average as it gets this year. Not great, not bad, average.
Mm-hmm.
Left field, awful. Catching, awful. Their bench, non-existent. Jackson Merrill, he's been good, but he's missed time.
Right.
There's pitching, you're missing King and Darvish. Their bullpen's taxed, but their bullpen's been really good this year. So you can, the totality of their offense, bottom half of the league. If you want to put all those things in there and then grade the team at that halfway point, your grade might be lower than a B. But I'm just looking at, all right, you're 8 games above 500. You are going into the second half of your season starting tomorrow, or I guess after tomorrow, right? You have 81 games remaining. At this time last year, you were a worse team record-wise. I give them a B for where they're at, for all the things that they've dealt with to get to where they are now, 8 games above 500. To me, that's a B.
Well, what about, and I'm with you. I'll play the record game with you, and I agree. I think it's a B record, but they were 14-3, and they're 30-33 since.
Yeah, that's another stat that you put in the whole mix if you want.
Well, here's the thing: if they continue to be that 30-33 team, and maybe they'll be better. Hopefully, they'll be better. But if they play like that team in the second half, let's just say from here on out they're 41-41. That's better than 30-33, right? So if they go 41-41 in their final 82 games, How many wins they have? They'd have 85 wins.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
So they're going to have to play more towards the clip, and they're not going to play 14-3 baseball. They don't need to. But the 30-33, yeah, like you just said, is not good enough. And that's why I think there's a caveat, because we said earlier as well, if they miss the postseason by one game and they win 88, 89 games, you're not giving them a B. Nobody's giving them a B. You're going to say it was a failure by and large. Most people will say that if they miss out. So I think it's a fine line. It's a tight rope that they're walking where, yeah, hey, it's been a nice year until it's not a nice year at the end of the day.
You know what's funny is if they win tomorrow,
okay,
they're on a 90 win pace. If they lose tomorrow, they're on the 88 win pace.
Yep.
90 wins kind of feels like a benchmark with
to get in.
To get in.
That's the tightrope.
88,
maybe not.
You're cutting it close.
Mm-hmm.
You are cutting it close. But 90, you feel pretty decent.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
88,
yeah,
90. So tomorrow's everything.
That's what we're saying. Yeah, tomorrow in Cincinnati will decide their season. I mean, you're playing a team. You start again. I think it's completely fine to have the standings conversation right now. You're halfway through your season. I mean, why wouldn't you at least take a glance at the standings? The Cincinnati Reds are a very similar team to the San Diego Padres from a sheer record perspective. I'm not saying the team is the same, but at the end of the day, who cares? They're 42-39. The Padres are 44-36. If the Padres win 2 out of 3, you're looking a lot better after that series. If the Reds take 2 out of 3, they are looking a lot better after that series. So I say this all the time. It's like one game or one series changes your perspective on a lot. I agree with your general point from earlier, which is like, listen, if you go 3-3 on this road trip, tough test, Philadelphia and Cincinnati, come home, win 6 of 10, something like that. You're 10 games over 500 at the All-Star break. I think you're feeling pretty good about the Padres at that point.
Mm-hmm. And you've mentioned this. We've talked a lot about how, and when these win streaks or stretches come.
Mm-hmm.
I see in our chat, well, the last, 66 games, they're 30-33.
Right.
All right. I'll flip it on you. So what if they started the year 30-33 and their last 17, they're 14-3 to get to the same record now? Do you feel different?
You'd feel way different.
Like, wow, the team's 14-3 in their last 17 games.
They'd be saying what we were saying last year heading into the trade deadline. Wow, they're 8-2 in their last 10.
That's why at the end of the year, if your team wins 92 games, but they finish 20-3,
right,
you're like, man, perfect. They're red hot. This team is great. They're awesome. But look at the 98 team. You go back to that team and look at their September record.
Yeah.
What's not good?
Right. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
But they still won 98 games.
Yeah, exactly. That's 100% right. I mean, here's the thing. We've made this point before, sports. None of it is like linear. Nobody's like, they went 2-1 in their first series. They went 2-1 in their second. Nobody goes 2-1 all year to get to 105 wins.
Mm-hmm.
There's still highs and lows even with good teams. There's still highs and lows even with bad teams. None of it is, or a batting average. Players don't hit 300 by hitting 300 all year, if that makes sense. They don't go 3 for every 10 every single series.
No.
There's a series they go 1 for 10. There's a series they go 5 for 10. It averages out to going 3 for 10. So sometimes, and I want to do this a lot, like you look at it like it's linear, like it's a pace. Oh man, they're pacing for 88 wins. It's not linear. They're one good series away from being pacing for a lot more than 88 wins. They're one bad series away to be on pace to win a lot fewer than 88 games. Unfortunately, with what you and I do, Jim, we can't really look at it like that and be like, well, let's just talk about it when the season's over. Because there'll be another bad series this year. And there'll be another good series this year. And then we'll see where they are when all the series are added up. But, it's not linear. They're not going 2-1 every 3 games from here on out.
Like, I just thought of, the Detroit Tigers last year.
Yeah.
They made the postseason. You want to know what their record was on September 4th?
I want to say they rattled off a crazy finish, so probably around 500.
They were 70-70. They lost that day to the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, okay, 70-70. What'd they finish? How many wins?
They finished 86-76.
So 16-6 to finish their year.
Yeah.
To get into the postseason.
Right.
So magical carpet ride finish. That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
You're 140 games in. You're like, we're cooked.
Yeah.
And then they still were able to pull it off.
Yep.
That's why I would say if you're a Padres fan, and we're bad at this. I would say you don't get too high, you don't get too
We're
low.
awful at this.
We're bad at this. I would say
job.
right now you just don't get too high, you don't get too low. I mean, you say to yourself, this is a good enough team to contend to make the postseason.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. Where was it here? It's a really good one.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a great follow. Letters to AJ. Shout out Letters to AJ.
Okay.
They do a fantastic job diving, deep into analytics with the Padres. Check them out on Twitter at Letters to AJ. But they quote tweeted a tweet today, and it's perfect. Fans of a 500 team overreact to every win and loss. A good team, you can't win them all. A 100 loss team, you get used to it. A 500 team, emotionally, you're as good as the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Padres aren't a 500 team, but with how they've been playing the last 66 games, they are a 500 team. So the emotional roller coaster that we've been on, not as crazy as maybe years past, but it's still been a bit of a roller coaster the last 66 games.
Right.
They're 3 games under 500, and every time they lose, it feels like they're going in the wrong direction. And every time they win or they win a series, it feels like they're going in the right direction. So I saw that tweet today. I'm like, that's the Padres the last 60 plus games.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what makes baseball frustrating at times, but also like, especially in this wild card era, you got plenty of chances. You just proved it with your Tigers point. You can be a 500 team as late as 140 games into your year.
September 4th.
Padres were a 500 team 100 games in. Mm-hmm. The Tigers were a 500 team 140 games in.
Yeah, and they closed 16-6, and then they made to the division round, correct?
Did they beat someone in the postseason last year?
They did.
Who?
Was it Cleveland?
I don't remember. I have no idea. That's interesting.
I think they beat Cleveland.
Tigers in the playoffs lost to Cleveland.
No, they lost Cleveland,
but beat the Astros.
That's who it was.
They beat the Astros in the wild card series. Yeah, right. So 500, 140 games into the year, and they made the second round of the playoffs. That's amazing.
LDS.
See, and some of your mind also confuses you because back in the day when you were a 500 team in baseball, you were cooked. You're 100 games into your year, and there's like one wild card. You're like, you're done.
And Tigers at 70-70 last year. They're done.
Like in 1995, you have no shot. In 1985, you have no shot. Maybe in 2005, you have no shot. 2025, you got a shot, man. Yeah. Everyone's got a shot.
I think the difference is, while what we're saying is 100% true, I do think that the expectation around here when we talk about this team is always in the mindset of, can they win a World Series? So that's why I think people get upset, and there's a roller coaster of emotions, and we get upset, and we have a roller coaster of emotions because it's not just about making the postseason anymore with this team. It's about what are they doing to put themselves in the best position to win a World Series. Are they good enough to win a World Series? And so when we talk about the injuries and we talk about the offense and how they need another bat, okay, yeah, there's a chance if none of those things change that they still can make the postseason. But is that good enough with this franchise now that just making the postseason is acceptable?
But we don't. The problem with that is making the postseason gives you a chance to win a World Series.
Right. But if they make the postseason and they don't win a World Series, there's going to be disappointment, correct?
If they make the postseason and don't win a World Series, of course, a level of disappointment. There's different disappointment. You could lose the World Series. That's disappointing. You could lose in the wild card in 2 games. That's disappointing in a different way.
Right. So
and then there's in between.
Yeah. And that's, for better or for worse, that's where this Padres team and the franchise has put the expectations at.
So kind of like Aztecs basketball. You expect them in the NCAA tournament and to win in the NCAA tournament. You're now expecting the Padres not just to make the postseason. They need to win in the postseason for it to be a desired result for the year.
Yeah. They've won a postseason series for the last 3 postseason appearances.
Yep.
Including the fake 2020 year.
Yep.
Okay. They made the NLCS in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing if they've never in the last 3, if they hadn't advanced in the last 3 postseason runs, but they've advanced. They've won a series in every single year. And, last year might have been the best shot until they went 24 scoreless and Joe Musgrove blew his elbow out. So there is definite expectations, and postseason is great. Don't get me wrong. It gives you obviously the chance to win the World Series, but there will become a time, and maybe it's going to happen as soon as this year if they make a postseason for back-to-back seasons, where if they don't make a deep run or they don't get to where they want to get to, there's going to be a level of disappointment there where the postseason appearances, they're not going to be good enough anymore.
I agree with that. I do. We can react to that on the other side. Plus, the second round of the NBA draft getting underway at this exact moment at the Barclays Center.
Oh, must
in
watch.
Brooklyn. We'll keep you updated if there are any big NBA trades tonight from Brooklyn, New York. This is John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Our second round of the draft, Jim, is underway. I know you've been intently watching. We have the first player off the board. What's your breakdown of Rasheer Fleming? Of course, starred at St. Joe's, just outside Philadelphia on the main line. So Sure, Aaron watched a lot of Rasheer Fleming these past couple of years at St. Joe's. He'll be going to the T-Wolves, which is actually the Suns.
Yeah, nice size, good build.
Good at basketball.
He has good corner three. Needs to work on his wing deep a little bit, but overall, kid's a scorer. Defensively, he's going to need a little work, but he can be maybe a 12 to 15 points per game guy in this league down the road.
I like that. You sounded good.
I watched 0 minutes of
who's his comp.
Oh, his comp. I like it. Yeah. His comp. I'm gonna go with. Let me think here a little bit.
He's like Draymond.
Yeah,
this guy's Draymond Green.
I'm gonna go with Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon comp. I'm gonna go with an Aaron Gordon comp on Rasheer Fleming after watching 5 seconds of tape. That's the only 5 seconds of tape I've ever watched of Rasheer Fleming.
Listen to this. So we mentioned earlier the ratings were down 15% last night, right?
Yeah.
But they were up 5% in the first hour. People tuned in for Cooper Flag, right? And then they were way down the rest of the night. But wait, there's more. Wembanyama's draft, when Wemby did the who
did the draft?
Who went overseas?
Brian Windhorst.
When Windhorst went overseas,
the mic wasn't working. The camera was all blurry.
30-second interview.
He got a free trip to London or to Paris, excuse me.
It was in Paris, yeah.
And for a 30-second interview that like nobody could hear, the quality of the camera was awful, and the lighting sucked.
Well, how about this? That draft 2 years ago was 25% better ratings than last night. The Wemby draft. So they were down 15% off last year's draft. They were off 25% off the draft prior to that. I don't remember a ton. What else happened in the Wemby draft?
I could not tell you.
Okay. And now this night 2 thing, I'm with you. We said earlier, like, it wasn't overly thrilling night 1, right? You talked about this Pelican move up where they gave up an unprotected pick. Okay, maybe they're idiots.
Everyone's losing their mind over it.
But that didn't result in some crazy ratings. What's night 2 really going to bring from a viewership perspective? Like, if you're a casual and you're coming in, what are you waiting for? A trade?
I'm surprised this is actually on ESPN.
Right, not ESPN2 or something.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a clear ESPN2 night. But is there any national sports going on besides baseball? Right now?
There's only one baseball game tonight.
Really?
One baseball game.
And that would be the Braves and the Mets.
That's it.
That's on MLB Network.
Yeah, so they kind of have the night to themselves a little bit. There's WNBA night. Caitlin Clark's out.
Right.
But yeah, they kind of have the night to themselves. Are you a fan of the 2-night draft?
I don't care.
You don't care if it's 1 night or 2 night.
I don't care.
I think most people prefer 1 night. Now, me as a college basketball guy, I kind of like these stories. I see Kobe Sanders, Nevada, for example, as the top 10 best available. I've seen a lot of Kobe Sanders. He's actually San Diegan, I think. Kobe Sanders is out of San Diego.
Okay.
So like things like that I like, but I'm a junkie. Like I eat this stuff up. I mean, I go home and I watch Grand Canyon against UTEP.
Let's just say this. If you're John Fanta, this is
oh my gosh,
an amazing
it's a
night
combination of everything.
Yeah.
He loves college. He loves pro.
Now, March Madness for John Fanta is like a holiday. It's better than probably anything in his life other than his wife and his kid.
Right.
But, this is probably up there as a top 5-ish.
Yeah, like, hey, John, like, you want to come on the show? Because
dude, he's too big time.
Did he like get rid of my number?
I remember when
we elevated John.
When we first, I guess, brought John Fanta onto the scene.
Yeah. Did you know who he was at that time?
Dude, I was on one of his like Cleveland Guardians podcast.
But that was after he would already come out with us on the radio, right?
And then he was like, hey, can you come on our Cleveland Guardians podcast after a trade that they made? And he's asking me about like some prospects. And I'm like, who?
Right. He's breaking down like Clevenger with you.
I think it might have been the Clevenger trade. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
And I remember back then he had like 8,000 followers on Twitter.
Well, he's got more now.
Dude is 130,000 now.
He's kind of like, if you're into basketball, you know who John Fanta is.
John Fanta is an amazing media story.
Yeah.
Like the rise of John Fanta over the last 5-6 years.
It's ridiculous.
Has been incredible.
Dude. I knew him when he was 18 at Seton Hall.
I love John Fanta.
Yeah, he's terrific.
He's like my favorite.
Now we got to get him out. You haven't like been with him in person, have you?
No.
He's such a character.
I know.
He's such a character.
He is authentically himself.
100%. And that's what people want. All right. We're going to get back to the Padres on the other side. Jim's back page coming up. We're going to try to get John Sadak on the show tomorrow, the voice of the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh.
as well. So stay with us. We are here until 6 p.m. Don't go anywhere. It's Sean and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by, once again, Rapid Radios. Padres, they have an off day today. They start a 6-game road trip starting in Cincinnati tomorrow night. Then they go to Philadelphia after that. NBA draft round 2 is underway. The big story, though, Cooper Flagg going number 1 overall to the Dallas Mavericks. And San Diego FC beat Vancouver last night on the road 5-3 with the win. San Diego FC now sits atop the Western Conference in first place in the West. Next up, they'll take on Dallas this Saturday at 5:30. That game can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rapid Radios, their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Jim's back page ahead. Kevin Acee also will join us tomorrow from Cincinnati, Ohio. Padres and Reds will play game 1 of a 3-game series. In terms of probables in that series for the Padres, they will probably pitch Dylan Cease tomorrow, probably against Nick Martinez.
I like the way you put that.
They'll probably pitch Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
It normally happens. And the Reds will probably pitch Nick Martinez.
That's funny because that's what it actually means, probables.
Yeah, like it's likely.
Yeah, they're probably going to pitch this guy.
Guys
tomorrow.
get scratched, though. There's trades. There's
seen that multiple times this year.
Pop up.
Yeah.
Game
That's how
2,
I want to say it from now on.
Probably. It's probably Dylan Cease.
Yeah, it's probably Cease and probably Martinez tomorrow.
And then it's Vasquez Saturday. It's Kolek Sunday.
Probably.
That's exactly right. Probably in that order for the Padres. Now, we're probably not going to see the Reds' top pitching prospect.
We're probably not.
Who burst onto the scene earlier in the week and struck out the first 5 batters he faced. With Chase Burns.
He probably could be one of their best pitchers soon.
He probably could be one of the best in baseball. So that's what you have. Dylan Cease, Nick Martinez tomorrow night from the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. How much time right now, Jim, are you spending thinking about the trade deadline? Like when you go about your day and you're doing dishes or anything else, getting ready for the show, have you begun like there's a period of time, like probably after the All-Star break, where all I care about is the deadline. Are you are you at the point where you're thinking about the deadline a lot, or do you need to wait until when? All-Star break?
Probably.
Probably what? You're talking about it now or then?
No, All-Star break.
After the All-Star break.
Antennas, though, will definitely be fully up if I see anything regarding trade rumors.
I love the rumors.
If there's a trade rumor, instantly I perk up.
Right.
Like, oh, what's this you talk about? You know, Kevin put in his article yesterday about how the Padres are, still looking for catching help.
Oh, catching help.
I was like,
oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's out there? And then you realize not a lot, but still it's something.
So I do like when we get the articles, like we get the top 50 players that could move at the deadline, and then they put the teams the player could move to.
Oh, I love, even though they're ridiculous, like Jim Bowden trading away the entire Padres farm for Sandy Alcantara.
Right.
I still love it from the standpoint of that's content, baby.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I guess my question is, are people going to, a couple years after this Soto thing that we've discussed, oh my gosh, James Wood, CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, are we going to do the same song and dance 1 month from today and say, man, they're heavily in on Jarren Duran and they really need some outfield help? And I'm making it up at Duran. And he's hit 9 home runs in his last 30 games. They need Duran. They have to have him at all costs. Go get Jarren Duran. Or will people be more measured?
Depends on where the team's at. The team in the next, how many games until the trade deadline?
So deadline, good question.
So I got 16 left in the first half until the All-Star break.
Yep.
They got that 10-game road trip. There's 26, and they got 3 against the Mets before so 29 games until the deadline.
Is that right?
I think that's right.
Let's just say that. So roughly 30.
Okay, roughly 30 games.
Right.
Okay, they're 8 games above 500 right now. What record do the Padres need to go in the next 29 games or the next 30 games before the deadline for you to have a go all in mentality?
That is such a good question. I mean,
like 20-10?
Probably something like that. But my question is always like, well, let's say you don't play that type of baseball. But what if you don't play that type of baseball, but the move you make is the domino that puts you over the edge?
My point is, going once again back to the Juan Soto trade, that team was good at the deadline. And everybody loved the move of Juan Soto because everyone thought it was the missing piece, right?
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, everyone's freaking out about it. But still, in the moment, it was like, trade everything for Juan Soto. So, you mentioned, hey, Jarren Duran. Are you going to be like, hey, let's go get Jarren Duran? But it would mean costing a lot of top prospects in the organization. Maybe not DeVries and Salas, but maybe Salas and another prospect. Even one of them. Well, what if at the deadline they're 18 games above 500? And they just got Michael King back, and they just got Yu Darvish back, and they both look good.
Right, and you're saying, hey, Padres fans, you can win a World Series. Like the World Series is within at least a reach.
Yeah.
It's not like extremely unlikely it's not going to happen. I mean, they're already, we always say it, they're already all in. What is another player that's not going to be here for 2 years? If you're another player that's not going to be here for 2 years away from getting to a World Series, isn't it worth contemplating? I think if that happens, what you just said, they go 20-10 roughly. That's amazing, right? But let's just
be 18 games over. Let's just say 18 games above 500 at the deadline.
I think a lot of people say throw caution to the wind, but I do wonder if a larger percentage of the fan base immediately turns back to 2022 and say, hold on, we're good now. We can be good now and in the future. Let's be more measured.
I don't think, though, there is a move to be made like Juan Soto. There's just not, unless I'm not looking somewhere. Like if the Texas Rangers decide they want to give up Jacob deGrom,
right.
There's a player that you could look at as, hey, that guy's going to cost you a lot. Now, it's not like Jacob deGrom is on a rookie deal and whatnot. He's being paid a lot of money, so it's different. So again, there's nothing out there like the Juan Soto trade.
Even like Devers, it wasn't like Soto.
No,
the Devers deal is massive, but he had already signed the deal.
And the Giants. They kept their top prospect in Bryce Eldridge.
That's a great point. And they took on so much money. Padres didn't take on a lot of money with Soto. And they took on some money. He was a great player. He was an arbitration eligible player, but they didn't take on $300 million. You're right. I don't think there's an example of a player like Juan Soto. There's probably not an example of a player close that they could acquire this deadline. And I don't even know if it happened again this year. I don't think they could land him. I don't think they have the system that would produce Juan Soto coming back to them.
I think if you are at that moment, like I said, 18 games above 500, that means they need to go 20-10.
Right.
Okay. Maybe you just need to add on the edges. Maybe you don't need to go make that big move because you're playing such good baseball. Maybe you just need to go get another bat like you were already thinking about doing. Get another reliever. Go maybe up it to look at the best reliever on the market instead of just a middle reliever, right? Make your bullpen even stronger. If you get King and Darvish back, then you feel like, hey, maybe that fixed our rotation if they're healthy. That's a big if, but you get my point.
I'll give you one more. The team plays well for a month. Forget 20-10 for a second, but they just play well. They're 18-12. That's 600 baseball. They play well.
They're 12 up.
They're going, right? Yeah, they're really going at that point.
Yeah.
But there's still ambiguity and questions about King and Darvish. Maybe we see them. They don't look like themselves.
Maybe we don't.
What do you do then? You're one of the better teams in the National League in that hypothetical. You're now, like you said, 12, 13, 14 games over 500.
I think.
What do you do?
I think stay the course, because my guess would be if they hadn't pitched by then, and there is some ambiguity and there's still like some uncertainty, but there'd theoretically be more certainty then than there is now, right?
Yeah, a month later, yeah.
So it's like, hey, King just started his rehab. He'll be back in 2.5 weeks. Darvish made at least 1 or 2 starts for them, and he feels fine. But there's still some caution there because he's only gone out and thrown like 4 innings each outing.
Right.
I think stay the course, and then in their mind they can view, hey, we're getting an addition here in Michael King in like 2 weeks.
Right, like we're getting the trade deadline acquisition is these players.
And we've been playing really good baseball, so we're not going to go out and panic and be like, well, King's not ready yet, so let's make a move for a pitcher.
Right. I guess my question would be like, would you say to yourself, we're a starting pitcher away, man, from contending for the World Series? We're a really good baseball team. Our biggest question mark now has become our starting pitching question marks because of health. Are we a starting pitcher away from like being a real contender?
Well, that's a question if they do their part and if they do their job that we can have at the deadline. But right now, they're not close.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it'll be a question. If we get 7 days after the deadline and this team is playing well and we're still talking Michael King and Darvish, like what's the deal?
Yeah.
Then I think there'll be some real serious conversations about adding significant starting pitching at the front of the rotation.
Now, the flip side is if they
don't play well,
not only if they don't play well, they just play average. Kind of what they're doing now.
Yeah, 500.
At the deadline, they're 6 games above 500.
Right.
Then what do you do?
Way more measured. I don't think you're pushing all the chips in at that point. I just don't. I think they'd be more measured. maybe make an addition that can be helpful, but I don't think you'd give up a lot of assets to make additions.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, is what I would guess. But with AJ Preller, you really don't ever truly know.
No.
All right, Kevin AC will join us tomorrow again from Cincinnati. I've been watching this second round, Jim.
I honestly couldn't care less. Sorry.
Couldn't care less.
Like
could not care less.
I could not care less.
Right.
My care factor is as low as it can go. I couldn't care less than I already care right now.
You said it right. You could not. Now I care.
I always get that mixed up. I always say I could.
I could care less. That means you could actually care less.
Yes.
So,
but if you couldn't care less,
then you've reached your lowest level
I'm
of
at
care.
the bottom of my care factor.
All right, I'll keep an eye on it for our listeners.
Thanks.
Jim's back page is on the other side here until 6. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, John and Jim, final time here on this Thursday afternoon. Back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Kevin AC will be on the show. We'll get you ready for Padres and Reds, game 1 of that 3-game series from Cincinnati, Ohio. We've been watching the draft. We're about to get to Jim's back page.
Hold on. Let me rephrase that.
We've been intently watching.
John Schaefer has been watching the draft.
Yes. I've been now. We just saw Jedi Broom, very good college player at Auburn.
Should we go an extra hour?
I'd be happy to do it. Talk to Mary. See if Mary will give us extra money. Hey, Mary.
Yeah.
I have a proposition.
Hey, I'll answer that for you. No.
Yeah, it's a fat no.
I'll
John.
do it for cash.
Well, then you're not doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we've seen a couple of interesting names come off the board. And by interesting, I mean college names that I'm familiar with. Aztec fans are familiar with. Ryan Kalkbrenner, Creighton. San Diego State went through Kalkbrenner and Creighton to get to their first ever Final Four. He just went 2 picks ago. Jim.
John.
Jedi Broom played, of course, with
Auburn.
Chad Baker Mazzara to get to a Final Four, right? Wasn't Auburn just in a Final Four?
They were in the Final Four.
They
lost to... No.
Who played for a national championship?
I am just blanking
It's
hard.
I get this confused, and I watch it so intently.
Because Duke lost to...
Duke lost to Houston.
Florida.
And Florida beat Auburn.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Remember
Florida won the national championship.
Remember Duke kind of like gave away a late lead, and then Houston gave away a lead to Florida.
Wait, no, Florida played Auburn in the championship, right? No, they played Houston.
No, they played Houston.
You're
and
right,
Houston kind of had that game.
You're right.
Just like Duke had the game before it.
Sorry. I got mixed things up.
Who do you think goes next and why?
Well, John, if I'm looking at the best available, I can't see it right now, so I don't know who's available.
Well, Brooklyn's up, so I'm sure they'll take their 5th
But the
guard
thing is,
in
they're
the draft.
not. That's what's so confusing, Brian. It says Brooklyn's pick is in, but it says proposed trade.
Well,
with
you know what
Minnesota.
they need? They need a playmaker and they need overall depth. Let's see here. I can't even. They need Chaz Lanier from Tennessee.
Good player.
Or Tyrese Proctor.
Very good
Tyrese
player.
Proctor would be a perfect fit here
For Brooklyn?
For Brooklyn. I think it would fill a lot of their needs, their depth, and their overall guard needs. I think he would fit very well.
Except they're going to trade this pick away. All right, let's get to this.
No, Adu Tiro from Arkansas.
I don't know if you said that right.
I probably
He did.
didn't. What's his name?
It's Thero.
Oh, Adu Thiro.
Yeah, I still don't even know if you got it right. But okay.
He did. That was right.
Sonic John is releasing a new pickled flavored burger, fries, and slushies.
Oh, wow.
Sonic
That sounds terrible.
The burger might be all right.
Hey, they might be a sponsor or something on this.
It sounds good.
Sounds good.
said
It sounds really good.
To
Yeah.
me, it's not my taste.
Sonic Drive-In has partnered with Grillo's Pickles. They're very good pickles. We get them all the time at Bonnie's in Coronado.
Okay.
And they are going to launch an all-new limited time meal called the Big Deal Meal. Big Dill Meal.
I like that.
The Big Dill Meal.
Like it.
Say that 3 times fast. Packed with bold pickle-inspired flavor. The Big Dill lineup includes a choice between a double or triple Sonic Smash Burger paired with tons of groovy fries and finished with the tangy twist of a Pickle Rita Slushy, a frozen beverage that channels classic dill pickle zest in a whole new way. I'm kind of out on that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm good. Brent's not
I'm
He's
out
not
of
touching
that.
No, I don't want that.
The items are available at via the Sonic app and will be available at all locations on June 30th.
Not touching it.
But hey, we love you, Sonic.
We like Sonic, but just not that item. Just not that item.
Krispy Kreme is going to release a new chocolate brownie chiller, John. Krispy Kreme has just dropped a brand new frozen drink, the chocolate brownie gourmet creamy chiller. It's a rich, it looks rich, dessert-style beverage made with a chocolate brownie flavored base topped with whipped cream, brownie chunks, and swirls of chocolate sauce. That's a lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar, yeah.
So this is
Jones
the first.
would like it.
This is the first time Krispy Kreme has released the chocolate brownie chiller, making it a fresh addition to their limited time menu. It's currently available only at Krispy Kreme locations. across seas, but it will be making its debut in the U.S.
When?
Doesn't say.
Okay.
Doesn't say.
When they make sure it doesn't give half of Europe diabetes first, then they'll test out on us.
Now, I haven't been to McDonald's in a while.
Really?
I haven't. But there's a new burger that is showing up on McDonald's menus nationwide. This burger is called the Daily Double. It looks like just a double cheeseburger, but instead of sesame seed bun, it's just a regular bun. And it has all of Brent's favorites: lettuce, tomato, onions, and mayo.
Is there a big audience for it if it's just the same? The only difference is the bun.
They say the burger is similar to the McDouble, featuring 2 all-beef patties, a slice of American cheese, onions, as well as shredded lettuce, mayo, and 2 slices of tomatoes.
Yeah, it's just a McDouble without.
Is it just the same thing?
The McDouble only has the onions on it. They just added lettuce and tomatoes on it, pretty much.
Yeah, the Daily Double will be available as a McValue meal deal bundle. McDonald's launched its value menu earlier this year, and right now the Daily Double will be available at all McDonald's nationwide starting on July 22nd. Priced at $6 or $7, depending on your local restaurant.
So $7.
It will be $8.
Well, yeah, the one by my house will be $8.
Yeah, $7.99.
Well, the McDonald's by my house is like $1 to $1.25 more expensive than the one over here by work.
I got you.
Finally, Brent showed me this story. To commemorate 70 years of partnership, Disney and Coca-Cola have launched the global campaign, quote, Refresh Your Galaxy, centered on the Star Wars franchise. 30 limited edition cans and bottles will feature characters from the franchise's 27 available for purchase in select markets across where is it?
America?
Yeah, America. They'll be available exclusively at Disney theme parks in Florida and California. These bottles are available to purchase starting in July.
What's your level of excitement for that?
Well, some of them are pretty cool. Not gonna lie. If I see it at a grocery store, I'll pick it up. But
what makes them cool? Like, what does it say?
Well, it doesn't say anything. It just has the characters on it. Like, it has Yoda, it has Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. It has Obi-Wan Kenobi. It has all these characters that are iconic on the Coca-Cola cans, and so yeah,
it's a lot like they did a few months ago when they had MCU characters on the Coke and Coke Zero cans. It's just they're doing
John
Star Wars.
Did you say this though? Did you say how many
characters?
Did you say how many characters, Jim?
Like
how many options? Is it 6? Is it 16?
Just 27.
27?
27 different.
Are there even 27 different Star Wars characters?
Yes, John. Your boy Mandalorian will be on one.
I was gonna say, who do you think is the fringiest? Like, who's number 27? Like the 27th guy on your roster?
Definitely the First Order Stormtrooper.
That's just
That's probably my guess.
The normal Stormtrooper.
Yeah, there will probably be a lot of Stormtrooper ones out there.
What about the C-3PO?
Probably one that will be a collectible.
Definitely be one.
There'll be one. R2D2.
Okay.
Your favorite? Chewbacca.
Did I say it?
I said it for you.
Okay.
Chewbacca will be there as well.
They should do this with like Major League Baseball teams.
The Emperor will be on there.
Why not do this with players? Like put Machado on a Coca-Cola.
If I said BB-8, you would say?
Sounds like a good drink. That's a character?
What? Yeah.
BB-8?
Yeah, BB-8. BB-8.
I don't know what BB-8 is, man. Do you?
You should know. If you're watching card pulls last night, our boy pulled a BB-8 1-of-1 auto.
In a Star Wars box?
In a Star Wars box.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not buying Star Wars cards. Believe it or not. All right. If you missed anything today,
you're
go
lucky.
To Sports. As I always say, you're lucky. Go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. If you're listening to the podcast, please leave a review as well. Back tomorrow at 2, getting you ready for Padres and Reds.
Probably.
It's a good point. You never know. Kevin Acey will join us probably tomorrow as well. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Bye-bye.